All right. It's 4:15, and I'm happy to announce that the ribbon is cut at the brand new Residence Inn by Marriott off of Green Spring Drive. It looks wonderful. Thank you for everyone involved in that process from start to finish. It's just another example of the great momentum that we have here in the city and the many positive things that are happening. And I want to just express to you and share with you many of the comments that I got back from how appreciative the ownership group is of working with the council and with the staff. That said, let's get the workshop meeting started. We've got 3 agenda items, council. I'll turn to you for a motion to approve as outlined.
Made, Mayor.
The motion by Councilman Ivey, second by Councilman Coates. The first item on the agenda is detached accessory dwelling units. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb will present to the council on this particular item. Mr. Gibb.
Thank you, Mayor. We've seen an uptick in submittals for detached accessory dwelling units, and just a month and a half ago, the Housing Action Coalition had a conference that highlighted these particular submittals as well. I have the feeling they're going to continue to increase. Just wanted to present some possible changes to the code, kind of have a roundtable discussion here, gauge your thoughts. Tara dropped those possible changes into the packet. You can follow along there if you'd like. So maybe I'll just go through. I won't read the whole code, but maybe just the items I'm proposing that could be changed. So looking to the general standards in B, we'll start with the purpose and intent, proposing that we pull out has no attached garage or carport attached to the unit. So this would allow garages to be attached to the detached accessory dwelling unit.
Can I ask a question on that? I've seen some, like detached garages that have accessory, like apartments above. Would that allow for that type of?
Yeah.
As long as they met the height requirements.
Exactly right. I was going to touch on that. As long as they meet that height requirement, they could do that.
Right on.
And turning down to section B, number 2, it would read, the proposed lot for a detached accessory dwelling unit shall contain an already existing single-family dwelling unit, and then proposing to scratch out the lot size requirement of 10,000 square feet.
Is the idea behind that because they still have to meet setbacks regardless? Is that part of it?
Correct. Yeah, great questions. Number 3, proposing to scratch the first portion there as it's addressed above, and then it would read, detached accessory dwelling units shall not exceed 1,000 total square feet. So just some wording clarification there, not changing the square foot. And then the accessory dwelling unit square footage added to all other existing or future structures will not cover more than 30% of the rear yard and or 50% of the side yard area. And that would match the modifying regulations for garages.
So Eldon, on that, like, why are we limiting them to 1,000 total square feet? Like, what if they have a large lot and they want a large accessory dwelling unit that goes with it? I just look at it, and does that include the garage square footage? Because if we have a garage below an accessory dwelling above, would that, that's what came to my mind when I read it.
About a year and a half ago, we hit this code and increased the square footage from 650 to 1,000 square feet. So that's where council landed at that time, was they felt comfortable with the 1,000 square feet. And then to your second question, it would be only for the detached accessory dwelling unit would be the 1,000 square feet. So any attached garages or covered porches would not be calculated in that square foot.
It's only livable space, because I'm in my mind thinking an upstairs would be the living space and potentially downstairs could be a garage.
So yes, livable space would be limited to 1,000 square feet.
I don't want to steal Eldon's thunder, but I think it's probably good, especially if people are trying to follow along. When we added the ADU language years ago, the city was very restrictive. If you remember, we only allowed, was it 650 square feet? It had to meet setbacks, and we only allowed family members to live in them, if you remember. And so we took the standard as a city that we're going to be really restricted. Let's see how they go. And we've been really happy with what people have done. And so over time, we've been kind of loosening these up. And it helps affordability. If we can put somebody in an ADU that is on top of a garage or in someone's backyard, that seems to help affordability. But we can certainly go as far as the council wants to, but there's been this idea that let's creep a little at a time as we go, but maybe we're comfortable enough now that you know where you want to land.
I'm just asking the question because we're asking, the next one is to go higher. So that comes into a two-story effect more than a single story, and so that's why 1,000 square feet. I know a lot of people that could build a garage 1,000 square feet, and so that's why I'm trying to ask clarifying questions on the limit, what that 1,000 applies to, because right now it just says it shall not exceed 1,000. So is that garage space, livable space? That's why I'm asking.
Probably add it to say of livable space, if everyone's comfortable with that.
I like the direction this is going, Eldon. One time I worked on a detached accessory dwelling unit. Back then, they didn't call it that, but it was 1,200 square feet in Bloomington on one of those big lots. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind even if we up that from 1,000, so.
I was just gonna pipe in and say, I wouldn't mind if it grew from that. I mean, again, to Craig's point, as long as it meets setbacks, as long as it meets distance from the building, and as long as it meets the square footage, and as long as it meets, or the square footage of the overall backyard, and as long as it meets the height, why do we care how big it is?
It's 30% of the rear yard, right? So,
Right? So does,
I don't care if it's 1,500 or 2,500, as long as they have if they have the space on the yard, and it's only 30% of the backyard, then it kind of covers it.
Yeah, we're seeing some big homes, right, on pretty big lots in certain places. So yeah, you're right. We made them do funny things like little breezeways and things to and that's silly too.
Finding ways to do it, so why are we hurting them?
okay, Eldon, if we just strip the 1,000 square foot out? Strip that line out?
I would like to find a number, if we could get a consensus, if it'd be 1,200, 1,500 foot, whatever the temperature is here. I would like to see a square footage requirement in there for livable. I think we should add the word livable in.
If we had livable, I think it changes it, because a lot of people put garages with them.
I mean, if we need to go with a number, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing, 1,000 square feet is kind of tough because it's only a 2-bedroom basically, I've seen, like, even out in Hurricane, I worked on a detached accessory dwelling unit that has a new house in front of it, but it was also 1,200, 3-bed, 2-bath. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind, seeing 1,200, 1,500 if we need to put a number on it. So.
Gone up from 640, 650 to 1,000, and I don't think we've seen any negative effects from that. And I think that the direction from the governor's office and from HAC and a lot of others are that the purpose of this is to try to find ways to alleviate housing and create more housing for others. But what's interesting, since July, this has been on the legislative policy agenda every month. We are out of this. We had it well in place before most of the state has. And so I think we've kind of set the standard in a lot of ways. And I certainly wouldn't be opposed to raising it to the 1,200 as well, with the idea that maybe we could revisit it if it looks like that we need to in the future. But I don't see that creating any negative situation at all.
Be okay going to 15 and then just, if for some odd reason somebody wanted to go over that, they could do a variance, right? Because the ordinance is written to preclude them from doing a variance.
The ordinance requirements. This last year, I don't remember any that have wanted to go larger than 1,000. Just off the top of my head, I have to do a little more research, but.
Because that was what our limit was, do you think? Or was it just because that was what they would have intrinsically wanted?
I think just market demand. Typically, these units are smaller.
There's some pretty big lots down there by the Apple on the west side of town, southwest side of town, and you could easily fit a 1,200 square foot unit, you know, in the backyard easily.
Let's go with 1,500 and move on. I mean, I think 500 square feet, I don't think it's going to affect one way or another, and they still have to meet the requirements of the 30% and the setbacks, and if they can get that high, good for them if they want to, you know?
Everybody feel good about that?
I don't have a problem with it. I don't want it to be cumbersome. If we set it at 12 and we find that we're coming back, we want it to streamline it and to create a process that's easy to get to. So I have no problem with going.
Do 15, Eldon, if that works for you.
Sounds great.
1,500 of livable space.
Yeah, we'll add the word livable in there and increase that to 1,500 is what I've gathered. Number 4 addresses the height. I'm proposing we scratch that and reword it with detached accessory dwelling units with a side rear setback of 3 feet. So it used to be 5 feet, proposing we go up to 3 feet, which would match the garage requirement. And I'll get into that to a minute. So 3 feet shall be limited to a maximum height of 20 feet. At that 3 foot mark, they can go 20 foot tall. And then additional height may be acquired by moving the building into the lot foot for foot. So if they come in 4 feet, they can go up 21 foot to a maximum of 25 feet for the DADU unit.
8 feet off the lot line if they were 25,
Correct.
like that.
We're removing completely the idea that the unit needs to be at or below the peak of the primary house.
Correct. Yes, that is proposed to be scratched. Well, so if there's a 17, 18 foot rambler, the dwelling unit could be a little bit taller than the main residence.
Yeah, but most houses have the ability to be up to 35 anyways, so as long as, that's still pretty low. If you did a 25 foot, it's just a 2-story.
Okay, great. Number 5, detached accessory dwelling units shall be located no closer than 3 feet on any side or rear property line. And then adding the line, corner lots shall maintain the required street frontage setback applicable to the zoning designation at the proposed location, just for clarification. That's all the proposed changes. I'm happy to discuss. Anything else?
And just one more thing that I'd like to really discuss and talk about. I know that in the past we've deed restricted for overnight rentals. Has that changed, or is that still the direction that you recommend the city go? I know that we have specific reasons for adding that previously, but they are going to still continue to be deed restricted to prohibit short-term or vacation rental type uses. Is that your recommendation still, even with the changes that we make today?
That would be my recommendation, yes. We need housing applicable to our residents, not necessarily short-term rentals. You know, that's a great cause as well, but this is meant to provide some affordability to the locals.
How do we verify that that deed restriction took place?
It's through the building permit process. They upload that recorded document into the submittal plan. Verify it there.
Anything else on this item?
That is it. I'll make those changes and get it back here January, if that's okay.
Eldon, it's really appreciated that you're proactive on this. I mean, that's really, really great, so appreciate you.
Commendable. I'll just echo what Councilman Henderson said. You know, this is just following right in line too with what the state is asking us to do, is to look for ways to move the needle and create housing and do that. So kudos for me as well, Eldon.
And I've talked to residents who have already built a garage in the back that is the 3 foot distance, and have talked about wanting to, you know, maybe change that into an accessory dwelling or a detached dwelling unit. And so it'll give those that maybe want to have that, you know, flexibility to do so. So I feel like there's some good changes.
I could just make one more comment. Our internal accessory dwelling unit, we have a lot requirement for 6,000 square feet. Would there be appetite to get rid of that requirement so that if it fits within the house, they would be allowed to do that? You know, Riverbend at Sunrise Valley, That builder, S&S Homes, had a product type that included an IADU. Their lots were not big enough. They didn't meet the 6,000 square foot. So he was forced in to amend the plat for some of that limited common space to meet the 6,000 square, just to do the IADU.
6 is pretty small already. I'd have to see the product, I don't know, but I'm saying if you're a 6,000 square foot already and you're trying to add an ADU on top of that,
Well, it'd be an internal accessory dwelling unit, so under the main roof.
Yeah, so like a one-room bed, bath, mother-in-law kind of thing.
Little studio, yeah.
Like a
Kitchenette.
studio.
Is any problem with that?
We want to remove all the obstacles that we see that might get in the way of efforts here, and I don't see a negative with that either myself.
The demand's out there. Question out there and see if there's appetite.
That'd be good.
you go. Well, I'm curious to see what the product looks like is all. Not saying you have the answer.
Could you bring that back to the council and show what that product might look like and just give some professional recommendation?
Yeah, I could bring some previous examples. You know, it's whatever the bill fit within the setback, so every product type's gonna be different.
Councilman Henderson, what would you be able to, if you have a 6,000 square foot lot, how many square feet would you comfortably fit a house onto that size lot? How many square feet?
I guess it would just depend on what the setbacks were. So if it was 20 on the front, 8 and 10 on the sides, and what are we usually on the back, Eldon? 20,
10 foot.
10?
If you're lucky.
Oh,
What do you think the square footage would be, just a shot? 1,200?
on a 6,000 square foot lot, you could fit a pretty good sized house like the ones that Sullivan's are building down by Whammers. I mean, there's some probably 2,800 square foot homes there that are 2-story. So you could probably easily fit a little ADU that was just like a bedroom with a bathroom and a little mini kitchen.
So the size lot is small, but it's really not restrictive for most of the average size houses that we have in our area then.
I guess the thing would be the parking, and that's probably what Councilman,
Yeah, but is that where we're having I mean, that's usually seems where we have a problem if we get too many residents in one unit. I mean, you say that, but all of us have kids and all of a sudden,
yeah.
too many cars too, right? Like, I mean, I have a big driveway so they can park in my driveway, but some neighbors, cars are starting to stack up now. We have bigger lots.
Yeah, we require an additional parking stall for detached or internal.
Okay.
Yeah.
The internal units are usually smaller for a college student or, you know,
It gives a
recently
lot of
married.
flexibility to have that interior accessory dwelling unit.
But what
And
would
you
they-
can build it into the truss and into the plan. It seems like it'd be very convenient for a up-and-coming generation or an older generation to live
So-
with.
But some of the problem is that extra parking on that 6,000 square foot, because all of a sudden you need 3, and it's your whole frontage, because usually the width of those lots are a lot smaller is usually what happens.
So do you go depth on that, because it requires a third on an interior?
Stack it.
Yeah, the recent plans I've seen, they've had a 3-car garage, so that fulfills the parking requirement for the additional unit. They are smaller lots, but the builder's able to make it work.
Okay. Yeah, you could do it 36 feet as a 3-car garage, so.
Council, do you want that to come back? Further discussion on the interior?
Back anyways at some point, right, for a change, so
I personally don't want it to hold this up
yeah.
For sure.
moving forward, but if we want to look at it as a separate thing, if you want to bring back, I have a hard time envisioning it too, right? And thing or two, so I just can't figure it in my head. So if you want to bring that back separately,
I agree with the council.
I do have a quick question though, if I can get one last one.
Go ahead.
in there. The 3-foot rule on the property line is for fire code. Well, I guess you go to 0 foot, but you know, there's a 5-foot rule for fire code, and then what is it, 3 foot between the structures? Is that, do we need to put that in the reference at all, or the ordinance at all, that, you know, must meet applicable codes?
We,
Fail safe in there or what?
there's a line item in here that must meet all
Yeah, I missed it then, so I apologize.
construction of all accessory dwelling units shall meet all applicable building codes adopted by the city. You're fine.
Good discussion. Good topic. Eldon, you have your marching orders? And we'll watch for, when you're ready on that interior accessory dwelling unit, just let me know. We'll put it on a future workshop agenda. But we're ready to go on the exterior. Council, with your blessing, we are in full Hanukkah season. And my dear friend, Rabbi Mendy Cohen of the Shabbat Jewish Center of Southern Utah is here. And so I'd like to just give him a few minutes to speak to the council and give you an update on the holiday and on some of the celebrations. Rabbi.
Hi, everyone. So as you know, the holiday of Hanukkah is coming up next week, starting Sunday to Monday, 8 days. It's a very special time. Just a little quick thing about the holiday. The holiday commemorates a time about 2,000 years ago that the Jewish people were oppressed. And a small group of Jewish people were able to fight and win over the oppression. They came back to the temple and they wanted to light the menorah in the temple. And there was no more oil. Miraculously, a menorah, the oil was able to burn for 8 days straight. And we commemorate that today, not only about the war that happened many years ago, it's also about the idea of freedom of religion, freedom of practicing what your faith is without any fear of anybody telling you not to. And because of this, we want to go out in the streets and have public menorah lightings, celebrating together as a community, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, or any other religion, just come together as one big happy family to celebrate. We're going to have 2 celebrations, one in Cedar City, which is this Sunday, December 14 at 4:30, Noso Auto. And then the next Sunday, December 21st, it's going to be over here in St. George. Well, not here, but St. George. And that's going to be in Vernon Worthen Park at 4:30 as well. We're going to have the honor to have the mayor light the menorah with us. So I'd like to encourage everybody to please join us, the community, council, and everybody as well, and to celebrate together and show love for one another.
Thank you, Rabbi. Any questions? I mean, we really feel
Sure.
privileged to have you with us tonight. And I know how busy your schedule is, so thank you for making time to come and speak to us at the workshop session. Any thoughts or feedback for the Rabbi? Any questions?
Stump the rabbi.
Thank you for being here, and that's on the 21st at 4:30, Sunday the
Yeah.
21st? Awesome.
I would just say, I've been a couple of times, I know the mayor's been, and it's a really cool celebration. And there were refreshments, there were snacks.
Oh,
which
yeah,
was
I
great.
forgot.
So you undersold the snacks.
There's donuts for the holiday tradition.
Yes.
There's also latkes, which is like potato pancakes. There's chocolate coins, hot drinks, whatever.
Yeah, really cool way to
Entertainment for the
celebrate
kids.
as a community. So.
Lots of fun.
Have you ever thought about doing it in the Better City in Veterans Park here?
Okay, let's do it. Which park? Okay, we could consider that, sure.
Right next to our building, check it out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We would
great
love
place.
it. We've got a really nice pavilion here with some steps and a really big grassy area. We would be honored if you ever chose to either replace one of those or add an additional event.
An additional, okay.
And we would be honored to have a menorah lighting and celebration with you. Like I say, we really enjoy and continue to support our Jewish community.
Thank you. Okay. And maybe we could also put up, because we have those big menorahs, 12-foot menorahs or 9-foot menorahs. But we could also put one up somewhere throughout the city.
We would love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Councilman Henderson, what else did you have?
Oh, all right. There you go.
Tell them to bring their dancing shoes.
There you go. And we're going to have dancing dreidels as well, big dreidel costume dancing. So make sure you get a little workout. Okay, good.
Well, we so appreciate you, Rabbi, and all that you do for this community. And thank you. Like I said, we know how busy this time of year is for you and everything else. So for you to make time to be here, it just means a lot to us.
Okay, thank you.
And many of us will see you on the 21st.
Okay, good. Looking forward. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. The next item on our agenda is not as exciting as that one, but it's very necessary, right, Blake? This is a pavement assessment update.
What an intro.
Public Works Director Blake Fonsbeck and friends. It sounds like a boy band, Fonsbeck and Friends.
Yeah, we started it up, but it didn't fly. Yeah, I'm kind of offended here. I think we were the most excited.
You love pavement.
Oh, you bet. So this is, we brought JUB, they're going to, as we told you in the October 22nd council meeting, or the workshop, we talked about our pavement and where we were, and then we said we'd done it, or they had completed a pavement assessment. So they're gonna go over that, kind of go over how pavement works and everything, and then we're gonna talk about the big elephant in the room is, well, how do we maintain it and how do we pay for that? So they're gonna come up with some options there. We don't, tonight, are not really looking at final numbers. We're just trying to introduce some different ways that cities pay for this.
Okay.
So I'll bring Travis Marsden up, and then might as well bring Ken up as well, so he can start plugging his computer in, so.
Okay, let's do this.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. So I was unable to attend the October meeting when Blake introduced JUB. So I am Travis Martin. I'm a transportation program manager in our St. George office, and a proud resident of Washington City. So I am excited to be a part of this study. It's great to be involved in projects that, you drive on, you help pay for, on a regular basis. And so Ken is an integral part of our transportation team. He's been involved in numerous pavement condition assessments in other communities in northern Utah. So I'm going to turn it over to him because he's the guy with all the info, the data, and the answers. So
Let's do it.
Ken, no pressure. No pressure. All right, thank you very much. Happy to be here with you tonight. Going to talk about pavement and how it ages and what we do about that with the treatments that we choose to apply, and then how that relates to the way that we pay for that pavement and what it costs to maintain it over time. And then finally, we'll end on what different cities across Utah are doing to pay for their pavement. So hopefully, we'll give you some good information, and you guys will go home and spend the holidays talking about pavement. It'll be great.
At least driving on it.
Yes, but you should be driving
At a
on it.
minimum.
It's good for it. Keep it going.
You might look at the conditions a little bit different as you're driving after this too.
Oh, yeah. In fact, my wife, after years of living with an engineer, she makes comments about pavement, and I just smile in pride. So pavement is a lot more than just the black surface that we see when we drive on it every day. And just to keep it really simple, underneath that pavement, that asphalt, there are engineered layers that are designed to support the asphalt, because the asphalt's actually a flexible material. And that pavement foundation is integral to the structure of pavement that we use every day. And so part of the purpose of the asphalt is that it protects that foundation from damage. And the more that we protect the foundation, the longer the pavement will last over time. So I want you to remember that as we move forward. So here's an animation demonstrating what happens with pavement as it ages. So pavement starts to age and it gets brittle. As it gets brittle, cracks begin to form. Those cracks will expand through the asphalt, and once they do, it allows water to penetrate the asphalt down into those foundational layers. And when it does, they get saturated, it changes the makeup of the foundation and weakens it. And what happens as a result is we see more cracking on the asphalt, and then eventually we'll see potholes, we'll see depressions, and we see an impact to our daily drive. So keep this picture in your mind as we move forward, and I'm sure you can think of your favorite road when you see this. So in the engineering world, we refer to the damage that's observable on the surface of pavement as distress. And so we're going to go really quickly through a few examples of the types of distresses that we look at when we evaluate the condition of pavement. So early on in the life of pavement, we'll get these cracks that appear on the surface of the pavement. If they're going across the road, we call that transverse cracking. If they're going along the road, that's longitudinal cracking. It's not the important part, but the key to remember here is these types of cracks, they occur because of weathering and age, and they tend to occur from the top down. Another thing that you'll see a lot is damage on the pavement that is actually caused by work that we have to do. Utility cuts are a big issue with pavement, especially for new pavement. Studies have shown that cutting new pavement can actually reduce the total lifespan of that pavement by almost half. So the more we can keep from cutting our pavement, the better off we'll be. And then this type of cracking, fatigue cracking or alligator cracking, we call it that because it looks like the skin of an alligator. This is actually cracking that occurs from the bottom of the asphalt layer up. And this happens when that base foundation under the asphalt has been weakened, and we begin to see this type of damage. And so that's what it indicates
What would
to
it
us.
cause, what would cause it to weaken underneath?
So this would be when we have the fine cracks that have appeared, and that has allowed water to get down under the asphalt, and that has weakened the foundation.
The bottom of the water.
So once that's weakened, it allows it to flex, and then you get these cracks coming from the bottom up. So potholes are a result of these other distresses.
Okay, so stop, this looks like a picture from St. George, but no, I'm
This
kidding.
is a picture from someone I know very well.
I'm kidding.
No, you're not. I just
I'm kidding for any of our neighbors and friends over there.
So potholes tend to start appearing once we have had other cracks that have formed. Rutting is something else that we look at. This is where you'll see depressions. 10 points to anybody that guesses where this is. But
Country Way.
so these pictures are actually all from Washington, actually.
Ken, I'm gonna have to ask you to
Did I get
leave.
into that shit on that one?
You know that, you could have just let me keep the one dig, right?
Get pictures of St. George next time. Okay?
Next time, okay, I'll make note. So rutting is where we see depressions in the wheel paths of the asphalt. This can occur for many reasons.
Where is that Walmart?
Yep.
When are we fixing that, by the way? Just had that question come up again, and I'm on the radio in the morning, and so.
It's not the city's responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
They're probably getting a lot of heavy
Good job.
vehicles that come through here. That combined with the mix of the asphalt can result in rutting like you're seeing here. And then weathering in general causes different changes to the surface of the asphalt, and we have different names for them. Raveling is one of them that you'll see a lot. It's where the aggregate on the surface of the asphalt has eroded away and you see rough asphalt.
How about frost cleaving? Do we have a problem with that down here?
You should not have a problem with frost heaving down in St. George.
Or
They,
Washington?
but what about Washington?
Not in Washington either.
We don't have that problem. Okay. I didn't think it was cold enough here, but that's good.
No, up north, we definitely deal with it. So back in January, we had vehicles. We partnered with a company called IMS to bring their vehicles out and measure all of these distresses that we just talked about across all the pavement in Washington. And that allowed us to take those distresses, the types of distresses, how much of that distress is there, and for every single block of road, come up with a number called a PCI, which stands for Pavement Condition Index. And that tells us the condition of the road. Think of it like a score, right, in school. If you get an 80 or 90, you're doing pretty good. If you're down in the 40s, not so great. So from here on out, we're going to use these categories. You can see the colors. We'll use those colors, and we'll use the category names to refer to the different categories of pavement condition. So now these are Washington City examples. A good pavement looks like this. As an example, you'll see some fine cracking, but overall, very, very, very good pavement. Satisfactory, you'll see a little bit more, but still very serviceable. PCI of 70, This is typically used in industry as a very good benchmark for kind of above 70 is a maintainable, good condition road. And once it starts getting much below 70, then we start seeing more distress that causes the need for intervention and maintenance. Fair pavement, 56, you can see that's the yellows. And then poor pavement, this is where you start to get those phone calls at City Hall about the roads. And then very poor pavement, seeing more cracking. You'll start to see more impact that you'll notice when you're driving on the road. And then serious pavement, this is the second to the lowest category. But I want to point out a difference between these two. You'll notice the color of this pavement is kind of gray. And this one looks blacker. This is actually a worse condition pavement than the other one. So color of pavement actually is not something that we rate when we look at pavement condition, because we care mostly about what does it say about what's underneath it. And then failed pavement, the lowest category, this is where we have a lot of potholes. We spend a lot of money sending crews out to patch those potholes, try to maintain the safety of the road. So the results of the 2025 Pavement Condition Survey in Washington showed that we have lots and lots of really good condition roads. 71% of your roads are in a good or satisfactory category. This is both a really good thing and kind of something to plan for in the future. Pavement deteriorates in a relatively predictable fashion. This curve represents how the PCI value declines over time. And you can see this goes out 40 years. There's some different curves out there. I won't bore you with that. But needless to say, this curve actually is representative of data that we've collected and analyzed here in the state of Utah. So roads in good and satisfactory condition, pavement will tend to stay there for about 14 years without us doing anything to it. But if we don't do anything to it, it'll stay in fair and poor condition for about 8 years. So if we have 71% of roads in Washington City that are in that 14-year period, you can think back to Blake's presentation back in October that in the past 15 years, Washington City has had a massive boom in the building of roads. So this is where you're seeing it. So what do we do to keep pavement in a good and serviceable condition over time? Well, one option is we reconstruct the road. And you could do this about every 20 to 30 years. And if you did that, if we take a standard typical residential street, an annual average, that'd cost you about $46,000 per mile per year to just reconstruct them every 20 to 30 years. We'll just save up, we'll do it then. 20, 30 years, no problem. We can also go and remove a surface layer of asphalt and then put new asphalt down to give it a new surface. And not only is this nice for drivers, but this also serves to take and seal up any of those fine cracks. And if they're top-down cracks, we can remove them entirely. And this isn't as good as a brand new full reconstruction, but it does add a lot of life to the pavement for significantly less cost. In fact, if instead of reconstructing every 20 to 30 years, you intersperse a couple mill and overlay projects in between, you can actually reduce the average annual cost by about 26%. So even though you've got 3 treatments here instead of 2 over the same time period, this is the cheaper option. Lastly, when we have those good and satisfactory roads, which you have a lot of, we can use surface treatments such as seal coat, and we can go and seal up the cracks to prevent that water from getting down into the base. And that allows us to extend the life of the pavement significantly. In fact, we can get 10 to 15 years onto the total life of the pavement by doing these on recommended intervals.
Can I ask what's industry standard recommended interval, every 5?
Depending on the exact treatment and the condition of the road, every 5 to 10 years is a good guideline. So if we mix all of that and we apply seal coats at recommended intervals. We do mill and overlay where we can, and delay the time until we do full reconstruction, you're looking at a nearly 40% reduction in your annual cost to maintaining the pavement. And your pavement stays in very good condition for much longer. And applying all those seal coats to that 71% of roads on those recommended intervals, you can nearly double the amount of time that those roads stay in either the good or satisfactory condition category. So instead of 14 years, you could get 25 to 30 years. So this is where we're looking, because Blake indicated that over the last year, there have been some projects that have done a lot of good for the roads here. But it took a couple of years saving up funds to be able to do those projects. And while you're saving up those funds, a lot of these inexpensive surface treatments, which cost significantly less than the rehabilitation projects, go undone. And we can miss out on that life extension that we get for a very affordable price. So moving on to how cities are funding these programs to be able to maintain the roads this way. And I do want to note that this is what your public works staff are trying to do for the roads in Washington. They are trying and doing their very best to make the best use of the funds and to follow this preservation prioritized management. B&C road funds come from the state. They're primarily sourced from the state gas tax and allocated to the city based on population and based on how many miles of road that you have that qualify for the funding. They are pretty much always insufficient to meet the needs of any of these maintenance plans. The dependence on gas tax, looking into the future, is a liability because we increasingly have more fuel efficient cars. We increasingly have more EVs on the road. And so people are spending less on gas.
Have they figured out a way to capture some of the B&C road funds from electric vehicles?
So,
Do you know anything on that, Councilman?
so I just renewed my registration and it was like triple the cost of a normal registration renewal because of that. So,
But I'm not sure that's going to BNC road calculations and ending up, I don't know that is. It does cost us triple, but I don't know that,
my understanding is that's why we're getting that
is
extra.
it getting pushed all the way down?
For the gas taxes, and so they figure that's the offset, and so they hit us for it.
I just don't know if it trickles all the way down to cities or if it stays at a state level, because the state's also taking the bulk of the gas tax. I just hope it trickles.
I know there's legislation a couple of years ago that addressed this directly, trying to get the EVs to pay their fair share of the roads.
States across the country are working on solutions for this. Without going into details, there's solutions ranging from specific registration fees to all the way to doing away with gas tax nearly entirely and going to a pay-by-mile registration fee. So the population pressures that cities like Washington are seeing are difficult to capture under B&C road funds as well, because you're getting a lot of increased traffic, which increases the wear and tear on your roads, and that's doesn't really come through in the way that the formulas calculate how much money is allocated with these B&C road funds. So the B&C road funds, as of right now, our understanding is they're going to continue on. The state's accumulating funds that are distributed down, but there is a deficit that cities are needing to make up because the B&C road funds just aren't enough. One way that is very common to do that is through bonds. And there's a lot of benefits to bonds. You get immediate access to the capital, and if you have a high influx of projects that just really need to be done, it can help you with those rehabilitation booms that happen. But the downside being they do increase how much you're paying on it. You have to worry about interest. You now have a long-term debt obligation, and that obligation has the tendency to take and use up your BNC road funds in the future to pay the debt servicing instead of going towards those preventative pavement treatments that we need to be doing on a regular basis before we lose out. We call this the bond cycle. This was talked about extensively by Provo about 10, 15 years ago. And it's a difficult cycle to break out of because once you get on it, you end up with deferred maintenance from servicing the debt, and then that accelerates deterioration, leading to higher costs and poor conditions, needing to the demand for another bond. And so it goes around. So the question that has come across to many cities is, how do we break out of this cycle? And one of the best solutions that's come is the transportation utility fee, commonly referred to as a TUF. And this has a lot of benefits. So the first is, this is not an immediate one-time influx of cash into the capital for roads. This is an ongoing stream of funds to fund the ongoing maintenance of those roads in a more stable manner than bonding would allow. It also distributes the costs, unlike the gas tax, unlike property taxes, away from that, but actually to the roadway usage, which is why it's called a utility fee. And this is how it qualifies as a utility fee in Utah State. So we bill for water utilities or sewer service based on usage. Well, roads are used as well, and they're used at different rates by residences, by different types of business. And to represent that, typically what we do is we estimate the trips generated by each land use based on ITE, which is the Transportation Institute, based on their trip generation rates, based on studies for these different types of properties. So this allows the transportation utility fee to scale based on how much that an occupant, someone or entity who's paying a utility bill, contributes to the use of the roads. And these funds are would be earmarked for transportation use. And this has been successful in many cities. And ones at the top of mind include Pleasant Grove, Provo, South Salt Lake, Far West, and your neighbor, Santa Clara, has had a transportation utility fee for many years. So just to wrap up, there in Washington City, you have a large amount of new pavement, and preservation of that pavement is critical to allow you to have time to address it the way that it needs to occur to save money in the long run. The BNC road funds are great, but they're insufficient to cover the total cost needed. And bonds have their upsides and downsides, but a transportation utility fee can help break the bond cycle. So looking at next steps, we're going to look at determining the trip generation, so the estimated vehicle trips for properties in Washington City, so that we can estimate the fee that would result from funding this pavement program.
I think one important thing to recognize is that we wanted to look at two things by having JUB come do this. Number one, the condition of our roads and what our deficit is. And then the second thing is, how do we pay for it? And again, we're not in the bond cycle right now because we haven't gone down that road yet, but that's probably the next step that cities take, is they start taking out debt to do these projects because they don't have the BNC road tax, but then they have to pay it back with next year's BNC road tax and for the next 10 or 20 years, however long they take the bonds. Or we'll look at a transportation utility fee as a way to do it, to help fund our roads. But I think that's the concept, is where are we? And I think coming out of this, our roads look pretty good, but we have this sort of road Armageddon that's coming, right? All these brand new roads from all this growth are going to get old, and they are going to have to be maintained.
Do you have maps that show the conditions of what of the different?
Yeah,
of
we
how they're
do.
looking, of the
I
roads?
don't have them immediately accessible in front of me, but we do. And we do have a draft report that'll be prepared, and when it's ready, it'll be distributed, that has complete maps, as well as data that's available to Public Works online through their pavement management system. Has all of
Because we've
that
already been doing a
information
lot of
included.
those seals, like slurry seals on a lot of our roads. Right, Andy? Should we have you talk about that? Just kidding, I know how much you love to talk.
Andy?
We get to talk about these things in active transportation, and so I get to hear from him.
Yeah, we've been doing slurries for 15-ish years, as far as I can remember. And we started out trying to do a treatment on every road every 5 years. Now we're 7 to 10 because we just can't keep up with the 5 years. And so the roads are getting worse and worse now. Slurry seals might not be the right treatment because we're behind on everything now, so.
So how many of those do you feel like you do a year, or do you just try to target certain areas?
Well, I try to, so our maintenance money is around $1 million, and I try to tailor a project to fit with the money. So it's not necessary, I go try to find the best roads for the best use of the money. So it's not really just every single road. I mean, Councilman Coates knows that we haven't been in his neighborhood because his roads are good, so it gets pawned off to the next year. Instead of getting done this time, I do a road that's more pressing. And so his neighborhood hasn't been done since he's lived there.
I've lived there 9 years. It's about time, but it keeps getting pushed off because there's other needs in our city.
Yeah.
So-
And so that's what I do. Dell's built me a map on Cartograph where all the roads that come up that haven't had a treatment done in 5 years, 6 years, or 7+ years. And so all that populates on my map, and then I drive the neighborhoods and then try to tailor a project to fit best with that map.
Does it cost to buy our own slurry equipment?
I don't know. It'd be a lot. They're probably $400,000 trucks. And we require a slurry contractor to lay 37,000 yards a day. That's in our contract. So it doesn't drag out over 6 months. Because usually a normal project for us is 500,000 square yards, which is 4.5 million square feet, roughly.
I think St. George has their own trucks, don't they?
They do a lot of chip seals on their own.
I'm just wondering if it would make sense over a long period of time to buy our own equipment and rather than farming it out, if that would help. I don't know.
Then we have to hire people to do it, and because our crews are so busy, they barely keep up with the stuff they're fixing.
It's really specialized equipment. Like the guys that do, that's all they do. The slurry guys, that's all they do is slurry.
Is the company that we contract with out of Vegas?
Yeah, there's a company out of Vegas, a couple out of Salt Lake, and now there's a local company out of Hurricane now.
Saying it's something to check into, because I mean, if you bought the equipment, hired 3 extra guys over a long period of time, you guys already have dump trucks and stuff, I'm sure a lot of them are just sitting up there. Maybe over a long period of time, it could be cost effective, I don't know.
Yeah, so a slurry truck's not a dump truck. So it hauls the aggregate plus water plus oil plus cement, and it mixes it on the truck, dumps it out the back into a screed that screeds it on the road.
Yeah.
So it's a specialized truck. Like if you bought a slurry truck, that's all it would do. It
But
wouldn't be a
I'm
dump
just
truck.
saying, to haul the pea gravel to whatever site
right.
you're working off of, you've already got.
Yeah, we
equipment
have
that can
all
do
that
that, yeah. So anyway, just,
Like something we can look at. There's probably a size there where it makes sense. And
I think we're getting big enough that maybe it would.
we're feeling big, but either way we do it, we're gonna have to look at how we fund it, right? But you're right. If we could do it in-house and it made sense, I think we've moved different things in-house at times.
So how would we move that forward? Who would do that study for us or bring that information forward?
We're certainly able to look at it. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
And look at the amount that we do and what that costs and how long those trucks last and the employees we'd have to do. So we'll look at it with this budget cycle, but I think the critical thing is we can't do that without funding somehow.
It reminds me of a very simple saying, but, what you own, you're responsible for. These are deeded roads and we're responsible for them. So it's hard because they have so many, the BNC road funds from the state aren't quite covering the need. We have so many, needs on the general fund. How much can you allocate over there? So it makes it tough because you recognize that in the long term, this is definitely, staying on top of asphalt pavement maintenance is the right thing to do. But in the short run, it's easy to say, oh, this feels more pressing, but then you just kind of kick the can down the proverbial road. It's tough.
And I don't think we're asking you to make any decisions. We're just trying to get that in.
No, but conceptually, that's the concept.
We're trying to get the concept, and then the next presentation, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the actual financial presentation, which is here's how much per year you would need to be able to keep the pavement up, right?
Yes,
and here's the gap. And so if you do a transportation utility fee and you start it small, our gap may not be huge right now. We can fill that gap where it's not an overwhelming thing for anybody. But the longer we wait, maybe that gap starts to widen and widen because we're not keeping up with the maintenance. But that's the next presentation, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And it'd be good to know whether that money that you guys are that you're talking about is coming into the fund, the fund to help with the roads too. Like that would be another answer, because it's nice to have the people that are using the roads be taxed for it rather than, adding a tax to someone, because essentially it's another tax that we'd be taxing everybody on their utility bill, many of whom maybe don't even use the roads because they don't have a vehicle or don't have transportation, or because they're home, like there's older people that don't drive or have vehicles anymore, and so you'd be adding another bill to their limited income that they have. So it'd be good to have more answers.
It's also a good thing to think about is, our neighbor to the west, they have a lot more commercial than us, right? And we're starting to get some more commercial, which is going to help with that. Because I was having a conversation with someone and they're like, what do you guys use? I'm like, well, we use what we have, but they're like, we don't have the commercial you guys have, and that makes it easier for you guys to do roads. And now I'm sure they don't have enough money either, because I don't think any city has enough money to maintain their roads to the level we would all love. But we do the best what we can, and we have some of the best roads in the country. And I've been to a lot of places that have really bad roads, and we try to maintain them, and our weather here helps it so it doesn't get as beat up as some of the winter cities that I work in and stuff. But I think it's important that we get a plan, right? I mean, look how far I'm glad we were able to do something on Landfill Road, and we were able to work with a group that we all chipped in and got it fixed but it was a Band-Aid, right? It wasn't a full reconstruction, and that one could have used a full reconstruction, but we did a Band-Aid to get us through the next 10 years. And I think it's gonna hold up well. I'm excited for it, but we're gonna start working on a plan for that with the landfill to try to get so that money is saved now, so that we don't get into this bond cycle, and that in the next 10 years, when we have to reconstruct the entire road, we have the money ready between the city and the landfill and the county and get that road totally rebuilt. So we're trying to work on that plan now. I think this is a good plan. However we decide to fund it, and if we don't decide to fund it, then that's us not planning, and I think we have to plan it somehow. And if we don't do it this way, I'm open to ideas. Let's find another way too, And maybe it is a little bit of commercial, the growth, which we're getting, and a little bit of this that kind of helps.
Yeah, that's the good news, right? We have in the next 10 years a lot of good commercial that will be.
Mayor, can I, to Councilman Henderson's point, I think it'd be valuable to break it down in terms that we understand. Like if we could get, obviously if we're giving out bids, we know how much that cost is per mile in the city for the slurry coat or the seal, whatever those break down, and what it would look like, financial breakdown, and what it would cost the city per mile if we were to invest in a machine and try to have employees and do it ourselves. I think that we need to have those numbers so that if there is further discussion to move forward with that, I think that we need that to be considered because it's a viable question.
Do we know, does St. George, do they also contract out some of this crack seal and slurry seal that they do, and then they just have their machine for projects that they want to take in-house. So they're not doing everything in-house, but they have the ability to do some things in-house. Maybe Andy could speak to that. Because I watch these crews come up, and there's a time of year, and it's kind of all hands on deck, and I see what they're doing with those projects. But then I've seen, like in St. George, they did, Riverside Drive, relatively recently, and it seemed like that might have been an in-house because you saw the big piles of pea gravel and their own crews out there. But
Yeah, so St. George will bid out their crack sealing and their slurry seals.
Yeah.
And they do chip seals in-house.
okay,
So they have
so it's
all,
a little bit of a hybrid.
yeah. So the chip seals where they spray the oil and then they lay the chip on the top where.
And is that what they
Turns
did
into
on
gravel.
Riverside recently?
Yeah, they did that. We did that on Telegraph and the Field Road and the Down Road.
Yeah, we've done those
A
too,
few-
but
we've
we haven't done
too.
those in-house.
No, we don't have the equipment to do that.
Or the manpower right now
Right.
either.
And did you say?
We did have the
sorry.
county came and chipped for us one time, and we paid just their wages for that project. But the county won't do that anymore.
Did you say the budgeted maintenance is $1 million? Did you
Yeah,
say-
it's $1 million.
How long's it been that number?
So when Bronson was the road manager, so I don't know how long ago that,
10 years ago?
yeah.
Councilman
7,
Bellison?
8 years.
And that's still more than the BNC road funds that we collect. That's with the city pitching in quite a bit more of our general.
And where does that,
fund, too.
that is general fund
It's all
money,
general
right?
fund, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how much of it is the BNC funds?
Check, I can check and get an answer for you.
Thank you.
There you made the comment that we own, we have to maintain.
Yeah.
Same goes for the equipment, right? I've always found subcontracting things is a lot cheaper over time than actually owning the equipment and trying to maintain the equipment and whatever, because those guys, when it is a specialized type of a subcontractor, they're just able to do it that much more efficiently, right? So I'd be a little wary about getting too deep down the road of let's start our own road crews, just because I think it can turn into quite the beast.
I might be able to give you some information that aids in the discussion, that the cost difference, if you look here, and these are current estimates on the seal coats, you're anywhere from 16 to 40 cents per square foot for any type of seal coat, and they'll range in here. A mill and overlay, I go back here, is $2 to $3.50 a square foot by comparison. And I bring this up because right now, the yellow portion of the pie that you see here and the orange portion, these are the poor and fair roads currently. And these are the roads that the eligible treatment is no longer seal coat and crack seal. It is mill and overlay.
The 21%, the fair.
Yes. So that is 21% of roads that you don't want to do it right away. You want to let it come down and live its life until it's time to do that overlay. But those are ones that are coming due. And the light green roads, the 38%, they're headed towards the yellow
If we
category.
don't get on the maintenance.
And we love doing seal coats, but we can unfortunately only do them so many times. And the pavement does still deteriorate with it. It slows it down, is what we're doing. So
Extending the life.
we're extending the life. And while we can take and double the amount of time that it stays in that good and satisfactory condition, it eventually will turn yellow, and it eventually will turn orange. And we eventually have to go in and do a mill and overlay, which if we're not prepared financially to take on that cost, then we have a problem.
I really appreciate Ken and Travis and your group. It's been really good information. Blake, I appreciate that you're presenting it to us in small bites, helping us to kind of wrap our heads around it. It's hard to drink from a fire hydrant.
It's a lot, and it's
So
best
this is,
to understand how it works and then I think we have that great, nice, dark green and light green, 71%, but it's because we've grown so fast, so we've created over the last 10 years, almost doubled our mileage in the city, and so it's kind of skewed. It looks like that, like, oh, we've got that because we're just doing such a great job of maintaining.
Trains running down the track and the track's running out, we're running out of track.
Yeah, we're kind of building out there, and we've got to catch up with that, and we'll come back in January and with the financial side of it.
Final thoughts, council?
Are temperature requirements for seal coating? Does it have to be over 70 degrees or 60 degrees or something, like with
I
asphalt?
believe there is, but Andy, can you?
I think it's 55, isn't it, for seal coat?
55? 55 and rising? Yeah. And we generally do ours in the spring. St. George does theirs in the fall. So these companies kind of start with us and then go up north and do everything and then
Come
kind
back
of
down.
end back here. That way they get a longer season, but I would just add, in the experience I've had in other cities, we've kind of gone both ways, where we've either contracted or we've done it with our own crews. Generally, the problem with doing it with your own crews is when you contract, you have a bid and you have them competing, and so you get a better price than if you're doing it yourself. Then you can't adjust the prices. Some years when contractors are desperate, they'll kind of buy a job, things like that. You don't get that when you're doing your own crews. You also, as Councilman Belson said, you're always trying to maintain that equipment and keep it up. And then you've got staffing, so if you end up with those 3 or 4 people and then 2 of them leave that have the experience, then you're having to deal with that. So there's that aspect of it as well. But we can certainly put together a report on all of those, comparing the two. And then we'll do that when we do our presentation in January.
Feel good about that? Feel good about that?
So Blake, when you do that, maybe put in some thought into the life of a vehicle like that and how long it would take to pay off that equipment
Yes. Yeah, that's all
versus
part of it.
fitting
Yeah.
it out,
Overhead.
overhead costs,
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
We just need to know what we don't know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor, can I
Councilman.
clarify one thing? So I mentioned earlier a bill that amended tax for EVs. That was in '23. It was HB 301. And it modified the way some of that money is taken from road tax and electric, that kind of thing. But it's put in the transportation fund at the state, and it's not given to the cities. If that's something that we want to look into, we could certainly talk about it and see if I don't know if that's even a possibility, but it does not come back to the municipality.
Well, this is quite literally where the rubber meets the road, and we are meeting with our legislators. Jordan, when did you schedule that? 8 a.m. Boardroom? Okay. And Tara will get that on our calendar along with the Hanukkah celebration. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Last item before we adjourn the work session is a TDS and PEG channel commitment. Councilman Bellison has served on the CEC TV committee and brought some developments to my attention, and I think he's invited Sean Devon to be here as well. Councilman Bellison, Sean, you kick this one off?
Sean, if you don't mind coming up while he's walking up, CEC is no longer. Everybody is aware of that. In fact, thank you for the check. You guys made the check out to me, but I'll sign it over to the city.
Enjoy Christmas.
But to that end, the franchise agreements, and Sean can explain it a lot better, the franchise.
Wait, Councilman Coates wants that committee now.
It's not too bad. I mean, yeah, there you go. Anyway, long and short is that the franchise agreement with TDS requires them to continue some payments back. And Sean, if you can just take it from there.
Yeah, so every municipality that the cable company has an agreement with, the franchise agreement, the ones that you guys have and all the other municipalities with CEC, The two parts is a PEG channel, the Public Education Government Channel, also known as a Public Access Channel, is built into that. And for the last 30-plus years, the $1 per video subscriber from TDS. Now, that money, which you got there, has been going.
It's moved down the line, Sean.
Okay. Good luck getting it back.
And thanks for hanging in there with us. You know, we probably should have put you at the first, but you know.
It's fine, it's good. I'm just missing the Ivan's Christmas party. My wife's watching. Hi. The franchise agreement states that TDS must offer a channel. The channel exists, it's there. Also, that $1 per video subscriber from TDS, that money goes to funding the channel. And that's where that money, so in the past with CEC, there was city money and then there was TDS money. Well, with the ending of the CEC, the city money is gone and the CEC money, the TDS money is, well, what are you gonna do with it? The franchise individual that came to our last CEC meeting said that the money can go to the municipality, to you guys, but that money is meant for the station. So if you want to operate your own station, open up a station, or you can amend your agreement with TDS and remove the station and remove the $1 per subscriber. Or, as I'm saying, maybe continue it the way it has been, and TDS, the Washington Video TDS subscriber money would then come back to the university, where I would continue to operate the TV channel in a limited capacity. Right now, that's working out to about $730 per month from the city of Washington. And as time will tell, that money will slowly decrease over time. So again, that's coming from the TDS video subscriber, not the internet subscriber, just the video channel. So I'm not sure who still has cable. Everybody still have video cable? 700 people in your city have video cable.
730.
730.
So anyway, it's not a large amount, but where Sean and the university are going to continue with some of the community events and whatnot, they're proposing that TDS just divert money back to the university so they can continue doing that. And I think St. George is on board, and the other cities are going to come in, but it has to be a city council decision. Because otherwise that money comes back to the city or.
So can we, in an agreement, just because we want to be done with our contract, right?
We're done with our obligation to CEC. It's just TDS. And TDS, their explanation was, we really don't want to go and redo all these franchise agreements with all the different cities. We just as soon, pay the money, so.
So I guess the question I have is, what do you plan to do with it? You say it in a limited way, but we haven't necessarily seen a lot of activity from CEC in our city. So $700 a month isn't nothing. I mean, we could take it away from our residents and give them an extra $1 in their pocket, but what do you plan to do if?
When they made me general manager of CEC, I think three and a half years ago, and trying to get 7 municipalities to work together, even on a name change, was challenging. So now I have the broadcast equipment, which is running on 15-year-old equipment right now in my back office, just keeping the channel alive. So I'm hoping to spend the about $15,000 I need to buy new equipment and make it more of an automated station, similar to how I'm running the Utah Tech radio stations. So 4 of which I have over there right now. So it would be a combination of student stuff that's happening, pre-programmed stuff, and then maybe anything that's pre-produced that I can put on and schedule. No cameras, no lighting, no studio. It's just basically a box sitting in the back that I would program. And then beyond that, maybe take that money and maybe make some student scholarship money. Maybe I can get more students involved. Students like to get money for some reason.
Is it also really only available to the TDS cable subscribers to watch it?
As of right now,
how does somebody watch the CEC channel?
Right now, it's only on the TDS system. I do have some software to make it a streaming option. It's the options of putting it on Roku or Amazon Fire, some of these other internet providers is available, but that's down the line as soon as I get things turned back on. But for a streaming option at the university, I already have that backbone set up. It would just be a matter of ABC and system admin and IT.
Is it, Rod Zundel does a lot of the content for sports? Is it Rod Zundel over there?
Yes, he's doing stuff
Yeah. So does this have anything to do with the content he's creating with?
No, that would be separate. That'd be, we would not be using that content because it's part of ESPN Plus, so we would not be able to.
All of his content, so that wouldn't be part of what you do?
No.
Because I know he does some pretty cool stuff with athletics, and I know he broadcasts. the
ESPN
game.
Plus contracts are very, and even when
Okay.
we had CEC actively running, there was many
All
of
right.
the games that we could not play.
I
on
thought
CEC.
that might be part of the content of what
It'd be
you're
great.
doing.
I'd love to take it.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to throw up a camera and do Pee Wee football, I'll put that on the air too.
So, council, questions you may have, my question is, I mean, if we kept this money going to the city, what would we have to use it for? How could we use it rather
So
than?
the TDS representative said that you guys can use it, it's up to your discretion, but he also threw in the caveat of saying, we can also ask how you're spending that money. That money is designed and set apart for the TV channel itself, so.
So just to throw it out there, we have staff that spends time and money getting the YouTube channel for broadcasting our council meetings and planning commission meetings, and it could help offset some of those costs that we have with that, because we're not using CE.
But that wouldn't be part of the PEG channel, that would be separate.
But I thought isn't it like a royalty to us? Isn't that the point of it?
No, the money is meant to run the channel. The money that comes from the dollar per subscriber is meant to run the channel and meant
But
for the channel.
If the channel's gone, why are they giving it to us? I guess that's where I'm missing.
Why did you get this last check, or why?
Why are they giving us $1 per subscriber?
So let's go back. So late 90s, we have 1992, 1996 Telecommunications Act, which bring up the whole PEG channel issue. CEC is developed, I think, 98, and that's when a lot of these initial franchise agreements came about. The idea being that the municipalities don't have the opportunity or the resources to run the station, the university does. So the agreement was put into place that the municipalities and the university would work together. So part of the money that came in was from the subscribers of cable TV. So that money came to the university to buy the equipment and to run the operation.
But now, I guess what I'm
But
confused is
what's happening to it now?
because my understanding is we used to help fund it, which we
Yeah,
are
so the
not.
money that came
we're-
from the city is no longer being
no
sent
longer
from the
there.
city, correct?
So why are you coming to us if the money just goes to you anyways?
Because right now that the CEC agreement is over with, the franchise agreement says that the dollar per subscriber can come to the city.
Can come to the city.
Yes, so it's in your franchise agreement, that dollar is coming to you. Which is being used, which is
It's
set
supposed to
aside
be used
for,
for a PEG channel.
yeah.
Whether we want to run a PEG channel or we want to let them run the PEG.
We're not gonna run a PEG channel. 'Cause I don't think we're going down that road. I don't think Jeremy wants to.
So all this money is from the subscribers in this check. That's,
No.
what
Actually,
is
yes,
this check
that is
for?
Our reimbursement for CEC, because we used to help fund CEC in addition to TDS helping fund it. But because we're not having to pay, but TDS's franchise agreements are still in place without them basically blowing up all their franchise agreements and redoing them.
When is their franchise agreement done? Does it ever end? Like from TDS?
As long as they have subscribers.
At some point, TDS might say we don't have any subscribers, we're done.
Well, then they would be done at that point. But their franchise continues on as long as they're providing cable to somebody in the community.
Their franchise agreement is more than that. It's, where they attach to our poles and they're in our public utility easements and all those kind of things.
They just don't want to renegotiate all their franchise agreements with all the cities because it took a long time to do all that. So they said it's less of a hassle for us to just kick the funds back than to kick the scab.
So why are we here today then? Like, we have to authorize the money going back to?
It comes to us and we would authorize it to be diverted to them so they can keep the channel alive.
I'd have
Authorize
a
them just to
memorandum of
divert it straight to them so we don't have to deal with it?
Yeah,
Correct.
That's what would happen is
It doesn't come through our account and go to theirs.
it'll just TDS will pay them direct.
I think it's just important for the council to realize it's still happening and it doesn't have to happen if you don't want it to, but
But we're not using any of the funds from taxpayers
Direct
here.
city funds, taxpayer funds of any kind. This is all your transportation utility fee. The dollar fee that's being added to every customer that's running the CEC channel. If you still find value in it, great.
But if
don't
we
wanna
didn't
run our own.
divert
We
it-
don't want to run our own. So either let him run it or take the dollar away from him and just.
Those are the options.
But say we take the
TDS has made the
dollar-
decision. They don't want to take the dollar away.
Well, but I'm saying that, but even if we took the dollar away from them, we couldn't use it anyways, it sounds
Your
like.
cable subscriber would get a $12 check. In
12
a
every,
$12 refund check for
What
a
if
year.
we had Jeremy do videos and then the subscribers would go down?
Say it again.
Would that be helpful?
I just do my videos on TikTok, and so that's free. You can follow me.
I'm aware, it's obvious that over the last 20 years, video subscriptions have gone down. And part of the reason for the dissolution of CEC was that money was going down.
Funding.
I'm saying, well, there's still a little bit left.
My attitude is let them have it, let them keep the channel alive a little bit longer and,
All right.
you know, we're happy.
You've
But
heard the recommendation from the councilman with the assignment. Any objections? Sean, I hope the Christmas party's not over entirely in Ivans. Are you going to try to make it over there?
I'm gonna make it over there.
It's a 20 or 30-minute drive. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much. Everybody, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for
Thanks,
what you're
Sean.
doing.
Have a good night.
You know, you give something like that to council to chew on. We'll chew on it. Right? All right, it's 5:35 PM. At this time, council, before I call for a motion to adjourn, I'll just let you know that we'll start back up with our regular meeting at 6 PM. That said, I'll call for a motion to adjourn the workshop.
So made.
Have a motion by Councilman Bellison, a second by Councilman Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned unanimously. Started momentarily. Okay, we'll get started. Today is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. We are at City Hall in the council chamber for our regular meeting. Our meetings are broadcast live at washingtoncity.org/meetings and archived with a link there to our YouTube station. Our invocation will be offered by Councilman Kurt Ivey, after which Councilwoman Kim Casperson will offer, the invocation will be offered by Councilman Kurt Ivey and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilwoman Kim Casperson.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before thee this evening as leadership and staff of Washington City, we wish to give thee thanks for all the many blessings, for the place in which we live and the benefits and the blessings that we have in living here. We pray for our citizens this day, our veterans, and all those that keep us safe. Please bless them in this special time of year to feel thy love and to know of thy Son. And Father, we pray that we might be able to make the right decisions for this city, that we can be exemplary in our decision-making, that we always hold the standards that thou would have us to have. And we are thankful for all of our many blessings. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
All rise. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I call for a motion to approve the agenda, I will note that we do have need to go to closed session tonight for purchase, exchange, or lease of property and character or professional competence of an individual. I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda. Have a motion by Councilwoman Casperson, second. By Councilman Ivey. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll start with announcements. This is our last council meeting of 2025, unless something urgent comes up, which I certainly hope that doesn't happen. Because our rotation is the second and fourth Wednesdays, and the fourth Wednesday of this month is Christmas Eve. So we all want to be with our families. On Saturday, we have two events starting at 10 a.m. here in Heritage Hall. Will be the Washington City Arts Council. It's the first annual Artisan Holiday Market. And that goes at 10 a.m., I believe, till late afternoon. Also on Saturday the 13th at noon, Wreaths Across America will have a program at the Washington City Cemetery. On Sunday, December 14th at 4:30 p.m., as Rabbi Mandy Cohen spoke to us earlier, we will have the grand menorah lighting at Vernon Worthen Park. The city offices will be closed Wednesday, December 24th and Thursday, December 25th. In observance of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, they will also be closed on Wednesday, December 31st. Actually, I'm not sure if they will be closed Wednesday, on January 1st in observance of New Year's Day, and on Wednesday, December 31st at 10 p.m. will be the New Year's Eve fireworks. They'll be lit off from the baseball fields near the community center, and that's always a great event. So that takes us through the end of the year. Council, is there anything that I missed on some of those items? All right, the next item on the agenda is declaration of abstentions and
Mayor,
conflicts.
sorry. Do you want to announce the thing for Mayor Randall?
Oh, yes, that just came through. Yeah, so there is a open house for outgoing St. George Mayor Randall. That is going to be on December 19th, 4 to 5:30 p.m. in the new St. George Council Chambers, 61 South Main. So if you have a chance to go there, that would be great. And I think there's also one for Mayor Rosenberg tomorrow afternoon. And I believe either on January 6th or 8th, there's one for Mayor Hart. So we'll try to get the more details. I should have added them to my notes. We'll email that out or can get it on your calendar.
Mayor, the one for Mayor Hart or Mayor Rosenberg tomorrow is at their council chambers at 2 p.m.
Okay, is it open house 2 till?
It is an open, it is an open house.
Okay, I think 2 to 4, 4:30, something like that. And then we'll get the details out on Mayor Hart's. That one, I just saw that today.
Mayor, can I say Mayor Hart's?
Do you have it?
Yeah, it's on January 6th at 2 p.m. at the Ivan City Hall.
Okay. We're gonna miss 3 really good mayors. Really have been good friends to Washington and really great examples of public service. Okay, anything to declare or abstain from? Any conflicts tonight? Seeing none, we'll continue moving right along. We do have a long consent agenda, but it's way quicker than in voting on these individually. So I'll read through them quick, and we can pull anything if you want to go deep, but mostly we'll just read through it. Consent agenda is item 4A. It consists of consideration to approve the minutes from the city council meetings of 11/12/25 and 11/18/25. The board audit report from November 2025 and a number of local consents. Consideration to approve the renewal of the following off-premise retail beer licenses: Albertsons, First Stop, Gas Stop, Washington, Hart's Gas and Food, Maverick number 390, Maverick number 657, Terrible's 370, Walmart Supercenter number 1439, and Whammers. The renewal of the following on-premise restaurant full-service licenses: Black Bear Diner, Don Pedro's Family Mexican Restaurant, Coral Cafe and Entertainment, Ovation Sienna Hills, Red Robin Gourmet Burgers, Royal Thai Cuisine, and St. Helens Restaurant LLC. The renewal of the following on-premise beer recreational amenity license: that's the Coral Canyon Golf Course at Green Spring Golf Course and Green Spring Golf Course. And the renewal of the following hotel liquor license: the Residence Inn. And the last one is the renewal of the following bar establishment license: Coral Cafe and Entertainment. Council, if there are no items to pull from that or minor clarifications, I'll call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read aloud.
Thank you, Councilman Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casperson. All in favor? Any opposed?
Mayor, I'm going to split my vote on that one.
Okay.
Aye for items 4A and 4B, and nay for item 4C.
Duly noted. We have unanimous on items as said and a dissenting vote on the others. Tara, I'm sure you've got that in the minutes. Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask a question to council?
Go ahead.
Dad, why do we have to do these consent every year? Is that a state requirement?
Yes, because the state of Utah and the legislature of Utah have given themselves essentially a legislative monopoly on the creation, production, and sale of alcohol in this state. All of these businesses that have been listed, and even, the city's golf course, must have a state license, and the state license will not issue without local consent. And so
These businesses have to apply at the end of every year for the following year. And if, say, someone doesn't, then they just lose it until they reapply.
yeah, in most cases, our recorder's office does a good job of just helping them with the renewal. It does require a payment and some paperwork, but we've digitized it, so it's not quite as cumbersome as it might seem. But yeah, they are required by state law every year to reapply for consent, and then they have to then go and apply with the state for the state's license.
I just hoping we could streamline this a little bit for at least the lower level ones, but if that's legislature, then we'll have to talk to them.
Yep, that's how it works in Utah, at least.
We'll move on to the next section of the agenda, award of bid. We have two. The first is 5A, consideration to award the bid for the Merrill Road traffic signal to Interstate Rock in the amount of $278,834. City Engineer Paul Mogul, if you'll present. Most of the questions I get these days are in regards to this particular item.
I bet so. Yeah, so this project consists of installing a fully functional traffic signal, includes signage, striping, adding a right turn pocket for southbound traffic on Washington Fields Road, and pedestrian ramp replacement. On December 2nd at 3 p.m., bids were opened publicly and read aloud at the Public Works Building. We received 3 bids that were competitive. The lowest bid was Interstate Rock in the amount of $278,834. And staff recommends approval of the low bid to Interstate Rock. And if there are any questions.
I'll make a motion.
Councilman, if you don't mind.
Just wondering, what's the timeline? So when, more people ask about this, when do you think it'll be?
Right,
open?
so the timeline, once they start work, it'll be 75 days. The traffic signal parts have been ordered. We ordered them through the UDOT warehouse. Currently, they don't have them in stock up there yet. They get a shipment in December. We're crossing our fingers that the parts will be there mid-December. If not, it could be as late as February before we get the parts, and so it could be as late as then before they start.
Mayor, can I ask a quick?
Yeah, Councilman Ivey, then Councilman Bellston.
So it looks like one of the biggest discrepancies in the bid is on line 20, where it talks about traffic signal system. 220, 104, 197, and 171. Two are really low and really high. Are we?
It's engineer's estimate.
That's the engineer estimate for construction.
For 220, the bids were 104, 97, and 97.
Yeah, so there's usually 2 contractors in town that do the traffic signal parts. It's usually KV Electric and Tri-State. And so that's probably why you get the kind of the 2 prices on those.
There. Okay.
Councilman Bellston.
Yeah, I'm just curious off the top of your head, the one that we did here recently at 500 West, I guess, did that go through this, did the city do that or did the developer do that? Because that was their requirement for the apartments.
Yeah, so the developer's reimbursing the city for that.
Do you recall what that amount was?
The traffic signal, that traffic signal was 336,000.
So it's coming down 40 grand, give or take, 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what I'm seeing on other infrastructure and horizontal improvements as things are kind of softening up a little bit. I was just telling Councilman Henderson that hopefully it starts filling up the residential side a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
That might have been a little tougher traffic control light too.
That's what I was going to say. The 5
where it was in the traffic in that one.
But we've also got a right turn lane southbound on Washington Fields Road on this, correct?
Yeah, and the 500 West one also had some extra power stuff to it that kind of added a little bit increase on the cost. But this one has that right turn pocket. The one there on Telegraph, also the traffic control up there was I don't know, it's kind of hard.
Dicey.
Yeah.
No, it was just fine. You guys did a good job. Any additional questions, comments? If not, I'll turn to Councilman Coates to make this motion.
Make a motion, we approve the bid for Merrill Road traffic signal in the amount of $278,834 to Interstate Rock.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Ivey. Let's go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Belliston.
Aye.
Henderson. Aye. Coates. Ivey. Casperson.
Aye.
No. Bid is awarded as stated, Interstate Rock, unanimously. Item 5B, consideration to award the bid for the Main Street widening to Advanced Construction and Design in the amount of $125,345. Once again, City Engineer Paul Mogul.
This project includes 9,370 square feet of asphalt, 435 feet of curb and gutter, roughly 2,000 square feet of sidewalk and restriping. On December 3rd at 10 a.m., bids were opened publicly and read aloud at the Public Works Building. We received 7 bids that were very competitive. We had 2 bids within $250 and another 2 bids that were within $50. The lowest bid was Advanced Construction and Design in the amount of $125,345. Staff recommends approval of the low bid to Advanced Construction.
Questions for the city engineer?
Paul, what's the plan? I'm assuming it's not part of this project, but to restripe all of Main Street, because it's kind of, because it's been pieced, is it going to be all restriped all the way up?
Correct. So right there at Arrowweed Way to Washington Parkway.
It will be. Oh, perfect. Okay.
With Advanced before, Advanced Construction?
I have not, no. If we have, it's been very little, but not that I know of.
I'm comfortable with a motion when you're ready, Mayor.
Well, we take our pavement very seriously around here.
We do. I just don't know why
We
they-
spent an hour on it in our prior meeting was all, so. And then, Paul, while you're there real quick before Councilman Ivy makes a motion, can you just give us an update on the widening of that project to the north? Is that done already, or is it happening?
Yes, it's completed.
Is it completed? So this just fills in that one little section, the
Correct,
remaining section, and allows us to, from Buena Vista to Washington Parkway, have that road full width.
Correct. Yep. So from Brio Parkway to Washington Parkway is widened all the way out. It's full build. It's just that section from this section.
Yeah, got to get it done. When would they mobilize and begin?
Soon as we award it, then they have 30 days to get all their bonding and all that stuff in place, and we'll start right
Go to
away. I
work.
believe they've contacted us and are itching to get going ASAP, so
Okay.
it could happen pretty soon.
If there are no other further comments, I'll turn to Councilman Ivy for a motion.
Make a motion to award the bid for the Main Street widening to Advanced Construction and Design in the amount of $125,345.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Ivy, second by Councilman Bellison. We'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Henderson.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
Bellison.
Aye.
That is approved as stated unanimously. Item 6, public hearing. This is a public hearing and consideration to approve an ordinance for an easement vacation located at 2005 North Creekside Court. The applicant is Mike Stewart. Is there anyone here this evening to speak in regards to this easement vacation? Mike, are you presenting, or is there somebody from staff presenting on this? John Hinkie, you're presenting, okay.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Applicant came to the city to discuss vacating a portion of the storm drain easement to help facilitate the construction of a home on the lot shown on the exhibit. Public Works doesn't have an issue with vacating the 5 feet of the easement. Storm drain's only about 4 foot, 4.5 foot, so it's still easily maintainable for us within the 15-foot drainage easement that would be left over. So our recommendation is for approval of the slim vacation of that easement.
Thanks, John. Questions for Mr. Hinkie?
Maybe just a comment, Mayor?
Go ahead.
I really appreciate what I'm hearing here tonight, that you work so cooperatively with this developer and builder to look at this and say, hey, yeah, we can do without it and get the home built. I think that's wonderful. Good job.
Thank you.
I think we would all echo those sentiments. Thank you, Councilman Ivy. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Mike, there's no need to talk, but you're here. Thumbs up? Okay.
I want to agree with what he said. They were very cooperative.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. It makes that usable. We need our lots to be buildable. Okay, this is a public hearing and consideration, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Does anyone have any comment about this easement vacation? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and I'll turn to the council for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the easement vacation on 2005 North Creekside Court.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Belliston. Let's go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Coates, Ivy, Casperson, Belliston, Henderson.
Aye.
That is approved unanimously.
It took
No.
off so fast, I was gonna give him a hard time, but I guess.
I know, he's just,
Bounced.
and by the way,
Like change
you
your
know,
mind.
Mike has two wonderful daughters who serve on the Washington City Youth Council, and they did a great job the other night at our Pearl Harbor USS Utah Remembrance Day, and they just, those along with all the youth, they just represent us so well. I wish Mike could have been here to hear that. I'll have to tell him later. We're bragging on his family. Conditional use permits, item 7A. This is consideration to approve conditional use permit C-25-13 for a Department of Alcoholic Beverages Services retail store located at 350 West Buena Vista Boulevard. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb will present to the council.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This property here is Zone C3 under Washington City Ordinance 9-10B-2B under the use regulations. State approved and operated liquor stores are required to obtain conditional use permit approval, which is why we're here tonight. I'll pull up this exhibit. Some renderings here. The building is approximately 12,500 square feet in size and includes retail, storage, and administration areas. Each DAB building is designated with a modern feel that incorporates colors that blend in with the surrounding area and draw inspiration from the region's landscape. The state of Utah procurement and contracting laws prevent DABs from entering into a contract with a firm to produce detailed site-specific plans. In order for the state to hire this firm or a firm to produce these drawings, the state must first obtain conditional use permit approval. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on November 20th, 2025, and unanimously recommended approval of C-25-13 based on the findings and conditions stated in the staff report. That concludes staff report. I'm happy for any questions you may have.
All right, council, any questions that you have for staff? Now is the time, and then I'll invite the applicant to come forward after that. Seeing none, Tom Gibbs, you come forward and talk about your project and field any questions. It's good to see you.
Council, appreciate it. I'll invite Craig McKay up. He represents DFCM, Department of Facilities and Construction Management. He'll be my partner on this project. I'll be working with on the DABS side, DABS interests, and Craig will work with the state's construction interests. We're really excited to do this project. We did a study many years back that determined that there was need in this local market area for a new store. And we are looking forward to getting a store in your city, and working with your people.
Great, council. What questions do you have? The packet's very thorough. We're familiar with what was presented at council or at the Planning Commission.
I was at Planning Commission that night, and I think they did a good job representing, and our Planning Commission got it right. There was some concerns from the residents, but I think you're always going to get concerns with these type, but it's zoned for it. It's right against the freeway. It's a good spot.
And a beautiful building, by the way. Really, really like the rendering. And
we're going to be close to this building, right, that were presented?
So we have two prototypes that we operate off of. This is prototype number 2, and this is the one we plan on doing on the lot. We did a test fit to ensure that it fits. There'll be a slight modifications to the building to make sure that it is specific to the site. And we're also adding a little bit of an area onto it for our local compliance specialist office out of. Currently, we're renting a space for him in St. George, and we'd like to move him into this building so that he can service the bars and bars, restaurants, other licensees in the area out of this building.
So is your truck delivery on the freeway side or on the side? Like, I'd like a nice visible from the freeway so it doesn't look like a industrial area on the back side of the freeway.
Yeah, So depends on the orientation of this building, where it's going to be seen from, but this loading dock on this prototype is technically on the front of the building, kind of off to the side and tucked back.
Yeah, this one has like 4 sides around it, so it's
Right.
kind of
Yeah, it's-
I'm just saying I would like it to be visually pleasing as people are driving down our freeway through our city.
And I think it will be, so.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Any additional comments on this? You made a long trip. We're trying to get your money's worth for all that.
We're happy to be here.
We talked a little bit over the break about, potential timeline, maybe just for the benefit of the council and staff, community, that just talk a little bit about the timeline that you anticipate on this.
Yeah, so once we finalize on the lot, the purchase of the lot, we will go into our design phase, which will be a shortened design phase for us because it is one of our prototypes. So we think we can be 8 to 10 months on design. And then once we start building, we will be another 10 months or so.
Okay. And I drove by the site today, and they're out doing a lot of dirt work and underground work, so they're getting that pad ready for you. Craig, what would you add, and tell us your role again?
I'm the DFCM project manager, so I work for the state. I'm Tom's counterpart, so I will be the project manager that represents the state's interest in this project.
Wonderful. So you'll oversee, and you'll oversee the bid and
Yeah,
the construction.
so I'll oversee the bid, I'll oversee the contracts for the contractor, the design team, and then I work closely with Tom and the executive director for DABS to make sure that we're building a building that meets their need, but then we're also meeting some of the requirements from the city to make
Wonderful.
sure that it's not looking like an industrial park
Yeah.
with some loading docks on the side, so.
Well, we're confident you're going to make it look really nice. We've seen some of the others that you've built, and we know you do a quality project, so we're happy that you chose Washington. Thank you, gentlemen. Council, any further discussion on this item? If not, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Can I just say really quickly, I also listened to the planning commission, and I know that there was some concerns that were mentioned, and I think it's helpful to read what our economic developer said in her notes about how the primary customers are institutions such as restaurants and hotels that serve residents and travelers. No alcohol is allowed to be consumed on site, and the state implements strict 100% ID for all sales in the store. And so I feel like it'll be it's going to be a good for Washington City. And I know that there was some comments made, and I just thought that would be good to share.
Well said. Thank you. Any additional comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I can make a motion. I actually listened to the planning commission as well, and I thought you did a nice job in answering the questions and with good relevant information. So great comment, Councilman Casper. I make a motion to approve a conditional use permit C-25-13 for a Department of Alcohol Beverages Services retail store located at 350 West Buena Vista Boulevard.
I have a motion by Councilman Ivy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Henderson. We'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Ivy.
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
Belliston.
Nay.
Henderson.
Aye.
Coates. That is approved on a vote of 4-1. We'll move on to item 7B. This is consideration to approve conditional use permit C-25-14 for a hotel located at Washington Parkway and Buena Vista Boulevard. The applicant is Bush and Gudgel. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb will once again present to the council.
This proposed hotel previously received a height waiver of 65 feet by council on July 23rd, and the proposed building elevations show the building at this height of 65 feet. The property is zoned C3, which requires hotels to obtain an approved conditional use permit. The entire parcel, I'll open up the site plan here. The entire parcel is approximately 15.5 acres, with the hotel encompassing 3.3. The hotel is the first commercial building on this site, and there will be more C3 uses to follow, with this being the first phase. The hotel includes 143 rooms with a proposed 176 parking spaces, which satisfies parking requirements. The exterior building elevations incorporate a variety of material and include stone, brick, stucco, metal paneling, and fiber cement products. The proposal also includes a landscaping plan which is aesthetically pleasing. Staff has reviewed the proposed project and finds that it meets the standards as outlined in the general plan and zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission did review this request on November 19th and unanimously recommended approval based on the findings and conditions stated in staff report. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Eldon? Seeing none, would the applicant like to come forward? The applicant's representative, Bob, is that you, Bob Hermanson? All right, this is a triple header for you tonight. This is the first one.
Yeah, back to back. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Bob Hermanson representing the project tonight. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Dual Brand Hotel sits there on the corner. It'll be first of several buildings coming our way through this area. But yeah, super happy to have it roll this way. But any questions on your guys' end? I think it's going to be great. Yeah, I really do. I think it's going to set that corner and that tone for all of that. It's just kind of light it on fire and build it all, right?
You did great work, Bob. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Seeing no questions for the staff or applicant, unless there's further discussion, I'll entertain a motion on item.
I'll make a.
On
I'll make-
item,
I'll-
where are we?
7B.
7B.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit C-25-14 for a hotel located at Washington Parkway and Buena Vista Boulevard.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casperson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Coates. We'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Casperson.
Aye.
Belliston. Henderson. Coates. Ivy. That is approved unanimously, 5-0. Okay, we'll move to the next section of the agenda, which is ordinances. And I will make note that the public hearings on ordinances occurred at the Planning Commission level, and those have been reviewed by this elected body. Item 8A is consideration to approve an ordinance for zone change Z-25-22 to update the existing PUDC located at 323 East Telegraph. The applicant is Johnson Engineering. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb will present to the council.
As you're all aware, this site here is built out and in use here. The applicant's proposing a few changes to help facilitate more traffic through their site and improve the area. The applicant's proposing to replace the above-ground stormwater pond with an underground chambers to allow an additional 14 stalls that will butt up to Telegraph. Relocate the trash enclosure 20 feet to the northeast, as shown on the plan, and add a right out onto Telegraph Street. Staff recognizes access to the site is challenging. Staff supports the proposed changes as they meet the guidelines for this zone. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on November 19th and unanimously recommended approval with the findings and conditions stated in the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council, questions for Eldon?
I have a comment, Mayor, if I can. I hope this really helps. I know it's been a little bit of tough access right there, and I'm really hoping that extra, right-hand turnout on Telegraph will help. We'll be able to get in and out of there, because I really like Flavors, and I want to see them get a little more busy, so.
As I do, Mayor, it's, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I appreciate staff looking at this out of the box and working with the owner to come up with solutions for this, because like you said, I really want this to succeed as well. It's a wonderful Flavors is wonderful. They have great products there, and we want to do everything we can for their success. So I stand in support of this as well.
Good comments. Is the applicant or the applicant's representative here? And if so, would they like to present to the council or field any questions? Okay. Council, I'll turn back to you for further discussion and or a motion on this item.
And make the motion. That we approve an ordinance for zone change Z-25-22 to update the existing PUDC located at 323 East Telegraph Street.
I have a motion by Councilman Belliston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
She just beat you to it there. Second by Councilwoman Casperson. We'll go roll call on this approval, beginning with Councilmember Casperson.
Aye.
Ivy. Coates. Henderson. Belliston. That is approved unanimously, 5-0. It's good to see you guys tonight. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. Item 8B is consideration to approve an ordinance for zone change Z-25-23 from R16 and C3 to PUDR located at Washington Parkway and Tortoise Rock Road. The applicant is Bush and Gudgel. Community Development Director is Eldon Gibb. I will, as I noted earlier, we do recognize the public comment that occurred at the Planning Commission. Eldon, if you'll present staff report on this one.
Here's the location here up on the map. You can see just to the east of Tortoise Rock Road. I'll pull up the site plan and we can review that. Proposal includes 134 townhome units. This is a 9.8 density unit per acre ratio. The surrounding zoning is C3 to the east, open space to the north and south, and R3 and R16 to the west. The applicant has situated the proposed project next to the C3 zone in an effort to transition between the existing single-family residential units that are to the west and the future commercial development to the east, which we just approved that hotel a little bit farther east, so that commercial's coming here. As shown on the plan, the townhome units are accessed from within the proposed subdivision and have been set back 25 feet from Tortoise Rock Road to allow a 10-foot trail and landscaping improvements to be made next to the roadway. This trail will improve walkability from the residential areas to the commercial development. The townhome units are 2-story. I'll pull up a photo of them. You can visualize it. Two-story with a building height of 23 feet 3 inches tall. The exterior finishes and incorporated landscaping plan are aesthetically pleasing. Each unit will have a 2-car garage and a 20-foot length driveway. Required parking for the project is 344 parking spaces, and the applicant is providing 364 parking is adequate for the project. Proposed amenities include a pool and clubhouse, pickleball courts, playground, and a recreational area for a total of 37,365 square feet. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on December 3rd and unanimously recommended approval based on the findings and conditions stated in staff report. That concludes the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Eldon?
Eldon, will you specify, this is dual zoning, R16 and a C3. Will you explain how that works, whether those are tied graphically or if they're either or options are for those zonings, those two zones?
Well, we're asking to pull out of the C3 and R16 to.
No, what I'm asking is the way it currently sits. Is there a C3 that is specific in one area and R16 in another? So would you please bring that up?
You betcha, yeah, I'll pull up a map here.
While he's bringing that up, I was just gonna, it's my understanding that the C3 is next to the homes. Is that correct? That's what I thought it was. And I was just looking through what could be in a C3. Is that correct, Alvin?
Sorry, say that one more time, Councilwoman.
Is the C3 zoning next to the, yes, it is, right? Next to all the homes?
The dark red is the C3.
Correct, yes, where that circle is, that's where the proposed PUD sits, asking to remove that commercial off of Tortoise Rock and replace it with this townhome unit.
And what is allowed now would be manufacturing, processing, creating, repairing, painting, cleaning, or assembly of goods, automobile repair shop, bottling works, lumber yard. And so I feel like this is a better, I like how they are feathering from the homes to townhomes to the commercial, because if you had, some of these items that I listed next to the homes, I don't feel like that would be very good to have. So I like how they've been thoughtful about feathering the commercial.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Further comments?
Good
Question? Councilman Henderson, then Belliston.
What is the zoning of this area? It seems like it came in for a zoning change not too long ago, this general area. I'm just kind of curious, has this been C3 for a long, long time, or has that been a recent change, or I can't quite remember. I know we saw this a while back, but
Yeah, great comments. So we started with the general plan here. The applicant and their team really took a high-level land use visual approach to this. In this upper left-hand corner here, the general plan was changed from medium high density to PUD. And then down here, 12.89 acres was changed to community commercial to PUD as well. If we put up the general plan, you'll be able to see that. Maps don't want to work this evening. And then just to the right, in the upper right-hand corner, medium high density was changed to commercial. So in essence, we swapped commercial locations from this corner here, this T intersection, put residential and moved the commercial to the east to create a buffer from those residential units.
so are we having is it basically a net zero swap? Are we gaining some commercial or gaining some residential, or what? What are the numbers on that?
It is almost a wash. I think we're losing 0.3 acreage.
Did you say, I'm sorry, say that again? What number did you say?
I believe we're losing about 0.3 acres of commercial to residential. It was 12.01 acres of medium high density to commercial and 12.89 acres from community PUD. So
It's
very
basically
close.
a wash is what you're saying. So, okay. So that's, the reason I'm asking is, since we're a little bit shy on commercial in Washington City, sometimes you hesitate to go from commercial to residential, but I knew there was some changes that had taken place here. So basically, it's kind of a wash overall, commercial to residential. It's just switching some places, right?
Correct, yes. Where this cursor's bouncing used to be commercial. That commercial was relocated up here to the CCOM area.
Okay, thank you.
So Eldon, a couple questions. Typically on projects like this, we would require a 10-foot setback with a block wall from public right-of-ways, right? And from what I'm seeing, there isn't. There's not only the public right-of-way towards Perry Landing, but also the new public right-of-way that's coming up on the east side of the project.
With the 10-foot setback right away.
We normally require 10-foot setback and then a block wall or party wall.
For PUDs, it's 25 foot. The applicant's set those homes back to meet that requirement. Adding a block wall on the backside of that limited common space, but
They would show that that's where it's at. I mean, we require a landscaping plan. It would be shown in the landscaping plan, right? From what I'm seeing, it looks like that's backyard that they've identified, not a setback from private, from the public right-of-ways. I know we did it down in the fields with the Sullivan Homes project that's done. That was all set back 10 foot with a block wall before they did it. And every other one that we've done, I don't recall one where we've done it where we didn't require it.
maybe I'm just as to what you're
Our
concerned.
code requires to have a block wall around the property, right?
It does not. That's been a standard that's been done, but our code doesn't spell out that requirement.
It requires if it's changing from commercial to residential. So on the other commercial side, it will.
I can't think of any townhouse projects that we've had where the backyard was open to a right-of-way where we didn't require it.
I agree.
And that's what's being shown on both Tortoise Rock Road. Look, I don't have a problem with the project. I think it's a good-looking project and everything else. I just think that if we're gonna require it, everybody else, I'd be consistent, right?
I think what Ellen's saying, and I don't know the answer for what you're saying, it's not required, but everybody has done it. It's been a code requirement that we've had, but.
We can just ask the applicant what the
Conversation.
plan is, though.
Yeah. What's that?
Ask the applicant what the plan is.
I mean, I know we had it on the one up there on the north end of Maine, right across from Solente.
They put one in. I'm just saying, I don't know that we required they put one in. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm splitting hairs, but most projects do want to because they want the backyard to be private, right?
So
No, I would prefer it if the backyard was private.
So I see Bob making a note of that. Any additional questions for staff before I invite the applicant forward? Applicant Representative Bob Hermanson. You've heard the questions. You probably have the answer.
Yeah, great questions. I'll try to answer them best I can. So what we have is we have a 15-foot landscape strip there. It has a 10-foot trail, and then you have a 6-foot privacy wall that wraps the entire project.
Can you blow that up? Because I'm not.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So you can barely see that, and I should have hatched that better for you. I'm sorry. That the area that's white there, so you can see the 15-foot landscape, and then you have another 10 feet, and that's private back, limited common areas for each unit. But that meandering, two lines there with no hatch in it, that's a 10-foot trail. That's a master plan trail. So you have a very small meandering, because you only have 5 feet to meander in there. You have a total of 15 feet with a 10-foot trail, 5 feet roughly total in addition to that. So 15 feet to a privacy wall, and then limited common area behind that.
So on Tortoise Rock, you're saying the privacy wall is on the north side of the trail easement?
Well, this is rotated, but in this map, it looks like it, yeah, yes. It's 15 feet from.
Oh, yeah, Tortoise Rock
Yeah,
goes
it's rotated.
north-south, okay.
Yeah.
So Bob, the question
east
is,
side.
are you putting the block wall, sorry, Mayor? you done?
Yes.
Yeah.
The block wall is going around the units for each lot, or are you gonna do a containment wall that goes?
There'll be a
project?
containment wall with the backyards, limited common area walls that'll just tie into it.
So are you gonna do the same thing along the detention basin?
Yes.
The big one up front?
If we wouldn't mind going over there. So my intent there was just to run one continuous wall where the limited common area is, to leave that all open, to just leave that open by the detention
You would
pond.
run it along the houses, not along the road, right?
Correct, yeah. I was just gonna leave the basin open, because you guys have a full easement over that already.
Okay. And then you would run along the new public road on the east.
That's correct, yep. And we actually added a trail. It wasn't part of the master plan, but just for the community and just talking through it. We've also done the exact same thing there. We have 15 feet there with the trail and 10-foot asphalt trail, and then a privacy wall, and then the 10-foot limited common area.
My apologies.
It's hard to see on there.
Yeah, the plans are fairly small, and I forgot my tablet, so and I forgot my readers too.
No, it's,
So I got another question for you, Bob.
yep,
The detention basins you have,
yes,
it looks like you're just trying to get your numbers,
I
right?
am.
I don't understand why we're not just discharging into the existing storm drain basin. I understand it's city maintained, but on this type of project, I don't understand why we're not just discharging their detention into here so they can utilize these other areas for landscape areas to use. That's what I don't understand. Like, I know that you might want that. Do you want that? I'm
We
sure.
do too. We requested it in the comment was that wasn't available to us.
But it's your land. That's what's frustrating to me. It's your land. It's not our land.
So
But we have an easement over it.
it's regional detention.
I know, but if we have a project right next to our regional detention, why aren't we accepting regional water? It's not like, usually I understand because we have larger infrastructure get down, it's not affecting any of that. If they make it a touch bigger, why are we trying to put all these little nitpicky teeny detention ponds in that aren't gonna work as well as the big regional one that's literally next door? That's my comment, I guess.
I think the challenge that the way I understand it is that if we do expand it and include it in there, which is the simplest method by far, no question, is it just the maintenance side of it, right? Now there's water from this subdivision that would have been maintained by the HOA that now is being maintained by the city.
And we do it all over when we have adjacent to it. My house is Treasure Valley Park. It's maintained by the city. The same maintenance costs are gonna cost us for the little bit of extra.
So we're totally for that. If you guys would like to consider that, we're happy to work through staff on that. We're good either way.
Continue your thought, Councilman.
Continue my thought?
Yeah, I mean, what do you see there?
So here's my thing. There's another subdivision down by my house, and all we did is this big old area that's just rocked, and it's horrible looking, and it's for all those, well, I can't even remember the subdivision down there, south by the high school. I think about how tight we're doing this density, and there's no place for these kids to play. And so we have these big regional things, and now this is more of a sediment basin one. I know that, so it collects a lot of sediments and stuff, so you can't like grass this one. But I'm sitting here going, why are we not incorporating and letting them have these little play areas and these little triangles? At least it's some grass or some landscaping that these kids can use. I don't know, I just feel like it's crazy to me that we can't, something adjacent to this can't accept it. That's the whole point of these basins. So we should utilize it, but I would like.
You guys want to go back and look at maybe expanding that regional just a little bit and making that change, or would you just rather it move forward kind of the way it's written?
Well, I mean, we've already looked at it. That was option one, and I presented that, just trying to work through with staff. It just a little bit unusual, and so it just didn't seem like an easy path, so we went to this option. I mean, my unit count wouldn't change, but it would just do exactly what Coates is referring to. It'd open up that space for usable rec space. And so my thought was, I'm happy to work through staff and look at it to see what the expansion would be and to see if it works through. But my units and my density would be identical. So that would be my proposal, is to, if I can work it through with staff and everybody's okay on expanding that, it will work. I'm telling you right now, we've already looked at it. You know, you could just add that corner in, because basically it's exactly what Coates is referring to, is that we've got one private basin that literally has a hump in it that gets to the public basin. And if you take that down and expand it, push that long fingered one right there, that one alone will take probably 99% of the storm drain.
I just hope staff can look at it, and it just seems logical to combine them. It drives me nuts that, I understand we have our rules, and the reason we have them makes sense, but when they're right next door, it doesn't make sense.
So make the argument for the other side.
The argument for the city on this situation? You're maintaining it anyway, there's no argument. The argument is, if you're.
How far away do you let people run them into the regional detention basin?
Because then it increases your pipe size. Now, one set of pipe from this development is costing the city anything. But if you go build a regional line across the street, now you gotta upsize your pipe to handle their water, and you don't.
How far will you let it happen?
Right adjacent, and that's it. That's my argument.
Didn't the one up there on the top end of Main Street dump into that regional that was created up there?
All of them do. The whole basin drops into that one.
It just isn't using.
It's just going through the it's going through the wash.
So Coates, are you just wanting basin one?
No, I'm assuming he can do, But the reason what caught my eye is we have these little teeny ones next to lots 87 and 95 that are so small, and they're trying to make their numbers work. Detention, because there's certain calculations you got to do to get your numbers. Those are pointless. They don't be maintained. And then Basin 3 seems like it's something that could be used as an amenity to the area, if it's a grass area or something that's usable for people to use. And then Basin 1, I guess, would be incorporated into the bigger basin. But Bob would have to tell us if the math works to get rid of that many basins and utilize the big one, because the big one has so much flow that is designed for already.
Sure. And we would have to go through that exercise entirely to find out, but we would be more than happy to do it for our own benefit as well, because it would benefit us just because we would have more amenity space. Like I say, the layout and the density would remain the same. There's no change there. It would just be, is basically Basin 3 turn into usable space or not?
Okay, so my next question is to Blake. You have an easement. Are you required to maintain that easement right now, or how does this look long-term, this basin? Because, yeah, it's their property, but if I was you, I'd want to get rid of it at this point and donate it to the city, so it's not their property.
Come up to the mic, and I know the mic isn't as tall as you are. So either you got to shrink, or at some point we got to get a taller mic.
Do you understand my question, Blake?
Yeah, or would we want them to donate that piece?
Yeah, with doing what I'm saying about combining all the detention or not, is it appropriate to say, yes, we have an easement on it already, do we want to take that property, having to maintain it already?
Yeah, it could be feasible to do it that way. It's just, if we're maintaining that one, maintaining a little bit bigger is not, and is that where we're?
No, I'm just
You're
currently
kinda
right.
hitting me off guard
Sorry,
here, 'cause
sorry,
I'm-
Blake. So currently, we don't own that property.
Okay.
We only have an easement on that property
Yes.
for a detention pond, which
Right.
means we have to maintain it. I'm asking you, if that's the case, shouldn't we just take ownership of that whole property at this point? When they go to plat this first plat or is that not something we want to do and just keep the easement?
I don't know, I'd have to do some consulting on that, because I'm not sure exactly where we've, would we, bring John up here too? Because I want to hear what
John?
you're doing, but do we have any catch basins that would be better for the easement, or because I feel there's kind of
Coming over to the mic, yeah. Reluctant as you may be.
Yeah, I guess if we're going to be maintaining the stormwater basin either way, and we're going to be taking over the flows from the development itself, we might as well have control of the property at that point in time.
You already have to maintain it because you have an easement there?
We have an easement, we do maintain minimally.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you wouldn't want that to be in a different ownership or something, and us having to get permission or have an agreement, I guess, to where we can go on and maintain it. I mean, we certainly could, but
yeah,
it's just kind of gonna use the pun, but wash either way. So, I mean, it's not, if we're gonna take it, then we'd be maintaining all of it, or, anyway. So might as well.
I guess, I would recommend, let's see if we can make an agreement to have the property under our control and the basin ours then we can control it, not only now for existing storm flows, but anything in the future that we may need to address.
Bigger to handle any detention that's on this side only, I'm saying, because it's adjacent to it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw out there, if we take this property, we'll include weed maintenance. The proposed project's going to be planting trees and bushes around that detention basin, so there'll be some costs there and upkeep as well. Just want to keep.
Sounds like Eldon's trying to send code enforcement after us.
I guess then that goes back to the development. Are they going to improve the street frontage with landscaping?
Boss.
Yes, they are.
Look at that. Thanks, guys.
You're talking along Buena Vista?
Yes.
Talking along
and
all the
Tortoise.
streets. I just didn't see the landscaping plan that addressed that. That's clear.
Yeah, it's just, there's a trail along Buena Vista as well, and then there's just a little bit of planting, 'cause there's the same 15 feet with a 10-foot trail along Buena Vista as well. And so to be clear, so all of this area, this whole corner, like everything else in this area is state trust lands. That specific area, because the city already has the easement on it, that is not being purchased by the development. Was just staying away from it because it was that. So that would have to be something that would have to go to SITLA.
Well, then we'll just keep it the way it is then.
Yeah, any additional space, the
You're
development
improving.
itself is happy to do whatever and give it whatever you guys want to do. We're happy the way that it is. We would
Do an easement, right, at that point. If Sitla still owns it, I would just keep it how it is, and then you'd improve the roadways. And improve the landscaping along that.
Yep.
It's part of your HOA, and then the detention, we would,
Yeah, that's exactly what we were trying to do. Yep.
I think that makes sense to me, but.
So are you talking about eliminating the small detention basins and collectively, and running that flow into the regional? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, is eliminate the detention ponds here and put them all into the regional. And he might, Bob will have to do the math and see a little bit larger detention pond.
What would that impact be, Bob? If that were to happen and you were to end up with more space within the development, how would that correlate to more, for space for the kids and stuff, and not just more homes and keeping the density the same?
Yeah, so the density would remain the same because there isn't enough space to change that and add more units, but the.
Density, you're talking about your overall unit count?
Correct. There's 134 units on there, and I couldn't increase it even if we do this. It wouldn't change that number.
It's not that big enough to even matter, so you can't really increase amenities.
Amenities, just Councilman Coates hit it right on the head. The one right in the middle, that funky triangle shaped one.
Yeah, Basin 3.
That, Basin 3, that is usable space, and so we would fully landscape that, and I would be totally on board with the thought is to put turf through there. It might be artificial just because we don't want too much maintenance, but yes, all of that could be usable, that whole corner.
You already have in this amenities, clubhouse, and a tot lot.
Yep, yeah, and to be clear, the clubhouse, it's labeled a clubhouse, it's showers and
Pavilion.
bathrooms, right? Like it's proportionate to the project, right? It has a very nice, in my opinion, pool with a very large deck space. But the clubhouse is not a meeting area. It has a shade structure and has bathrooms and showers. That's it. And then it has the 2 pickleball courts and then the top park and then just the grass in that whole area there.
Are you looking at doing artificial turf there as well, or?
You know, I'm kind of, I'm thinking that might be real grass around the top park because I just feel like the kids would like that better and it doesn't get so warm. So my current thought is from the pickleball courts running up the screen, which is east here, would all be real grass. Yeah, and everything else would be artificial.
And let me just jump in because I know Councilman Ives has a line of questions he has, but what I'm thinking is you've got the new ultra efficient water standard that you could get that reduced impact fee at the district if you meet that standard. And
yeah, we're planning on.
Of course, I know that all on this council, they want places for our kids to play, but if that can help with affordability, I'm paying a lower impact fee there and lower water use. That's something you're already planning on doing?
For sure. Yeah, we're following suit right along with you.
Okay.
That's right.
Sorry, Councilman.
No, you're good, Mayor. Thank you. So I watched the Planning Commission in person as well. And it seemed to me like a lot of the residents didn't really understand some of the details about this project. Did you sense that as well at all, or?
Yeah, I think that part of the item was basically like it's nothing now, and that's pretty awesome, right? Just open space, and they've been used to that. But then also understanding that currently it's C3, and there could be full-blown commercial there with many uses that have been brought up as well. And then our intent here is to transition, obviously, from densities like we would in a general planning fashion, and transition into these higher density products as far as commercial goes, and that highest intensity, which will be obviously near the interchange all the way through here.
But a lot of our good residents that stood in opposition, they didn't mention the C3 zoning or that. I think that there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. So just to be very, very clear, And what you have in entitlements right now is you have C3,
Correct.
which Councilman
Commercial.
Casperson read out what some of those could be in that commercial zone. And you have R1.
6.
R16.
Correct.
And what you're proposing is a PUD-R, which is a PUD residential.
Correct.
It basically gives the city some say in how it develops and what amenities there are so that it conforms well with the area and into the city. So have you had anyone reach out since that meeting for clarification? Because I felt like there was a disconnect in what actually you're proposing and what some of the residents thought that it was going to become.
Well, I think that through the discussion in the meeting, from the initial items from Eldon presenting it to then the public hearing, and then the discussion amongst everybody, I felt like there was a full circle just generally sitting by them because I was here and they were here, just listening to them. I felt like they, in the end of that meeting, understood that the C3 existed, and they did not understand that to begin with. And so, because they've totally calmed down, I was there. They didn't come. They weren't really upset at all. They didn't come up to me, and all of the initial items that they were bringing up that were challenges for them, I felt like were dissipated because at the end of the discussion, they got there and understood that it was C3, and they did not understand that.
And excuse me, I didn't have the opportunity to speak with any of them after, but originally in the zoning that you have now, the entitlements, what was the intent of the C3 there? Was that ever talked about, of what you wanted to do with the C3 on this location?
Yeah, it was actually brought up, and I believe it was Thad that brought up the original master plan. So this was a larger master plan that had a hospital anchored in the middle. That was the old
So
school.
this zoning was part of that
It
original
was.
zoning, which came in as the medical plaza for that entire, where it was
Correct.
going to have the hospital and
Yep.
North Star and all that stuff. Okay.
Yep. And so it matched. I mean, and there was a site plan that was shown. It wasn't part of my submittal, just live in the meeting there. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the hospital sat there in the middle, and they had medical office buildings right up to that edge.
Yeah, we were very familiar with that. In
Yeah.
fact, we were sad that changed.
Yeah.
So I get heartburn when we take away any commercial from the city. You know, we are struggling and fighting for every dollar we can get to maintain our roads, like we talked about earlier, our public safety. But I think tonight, in listening and hearing, it seems like it's almost a wash, like Eldon said, between the two. You know, and I do understand the importance of buffering. And I do understand that some uses may not be great for the neighbors on the west side. So I guess I just wanted to just clarify that even though I am not in favor of taking away city commercial, in fact, we're working right now on a master plan update to identify locations so we can bring that in.
Sure.
To solidify those in the future. I just wanted you to know that is a very unique dynamic for me, and that I think that I'm okay with it, understanding where it's at now. But originally, in the planning commission meeting, it wasn't really detailed that it was a wash between those two. And
Yeah,
so
it's-
that might be helpful too, to send that message out if someone was to reach out.
Sure. And we did that, as part of the overall development. That was my application, and I did the best that I could to take acre for acre and rotate that essentially down along that edge, the west edge. The only reason that it was short that 0.3 is because of the master plan road network through there, the connect, and I attached to the road, and that's the only reason it was reduced. We were trying not to reduce it as well. And so I was having the same vision as you, wanting to keep all of that because I know the situation well. And so just to be clear, it was 0.3 at best of an acre or less, and that's as close as I could get it to make it physically fit on the ground where it was. And so I totally agree with you and understand. It was just as close as I could make it for you.
I think that 0.3 is negligible, but, the residents also talked about things like traffic studies and wanting those type of things that always come up, because, you've got some great citizens up there that live in a great area. They don't want it negatively impacted. And so working with them going forward would be wonderful, and I think you do a nice job with that. But again, I don't want to be redundant, but I think there was some misconceptions that they're still out there. Maybe just a good explanation or conversation will let them know that this is really a better development now, in my opinion, than what possibly could have come in under the C3, which could have potentially negatively impacted their neighborhood.
I agree and happy to do that.
Just if somebody reaches out.
Yeah.
Good points. Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion or questions on this particular item? If not, I'll turn to the council for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance zone change Z-25-23 from R16 and C3 to PUDR located at Washington Parkway and Tortoise Rock with the finding conditions provided by staff with the additional condition / clarification that we have block walls on the main public roadways of Tortoise Rock Road along the detention basin and the new public road to the east. And I'm just recommending, and then staff can get with the applicant on working on those storm drains, but it's not, I'm not making that a condition, I'm just.
That those storm drains can be.
Work on the detention ponds being combined with the regional because it's adjacent, directly adjacent to the existing regional basin we have.
Can I ask a clarifying question? But you wouldn't want it to extend to the discussion where we would be acquiring property from Sittler?
Not this time because Sittler owns it. Understanding that, there's no reason. We'll just keep our easement with Sittler.
I agree.
We'll just deal with that. I mean, if Sittler wants to donate it to the city, that's fine, but
we're not going to buy it.
So I'll just leave that how it is for now, knowing that's not being purchased by them.
All right, council, you've heard the motion by Councilman Coates. Any questions on that? Any additional questions or clarifications on that?
I gave a second. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I make another clarification? I'm assuming that they're going to landscape the street frontage around the detention basin though. So, and maintained by their HOA, the landscaping.
And that's my next question. Looking at the applicant, the applicant's representative, do you feel good about that? I think what I hear the councilman and council saying is that if you're able to move that detention, that storm drain into the regional, then that gives you flexibility with the landscaping in those areas. Sound good? I've got a motion by Councilman Coates, a second by Councilman Belliston. We'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Ivy.
Aye.
Coates. Henderson.
Aye.
Belliston. Casperson. That is approved, and I think will be an even better project for the discussion. Thanks for hanging with us on that one, guys. Next item of business, item 8C. This is consideration to approve an ordinance for general plan amendment G-25-05 from low density to neighborhood commercial located at 400 West Merrill Road. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb is doing the work tonight. He will present to the council on this item.
This entire parcel covers 14.05 acres, and as shown in the exhibit, the applicant is proposing to change approximately 11.77 acres from low density to neighborhood commercial. The remaining 2.28 acres is proposed to stay low density residential. The surrounding general plan land use designations are low density to the north, east, south, and St. George City boundary being directly to the west, with this property being developed as commercial. Staff has reviewed the requested change and is comfortable with the proposal. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on December 3rd and unanimously recommended approval onto the City Council based on the findings stated in staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Council, what questions do you have for Eldon?
Real quick, what was the reasoning behind keeping the 2 acres low density?
It looks like a road stubs there, maybe?
Exactly, yes. You can see that, I believe it's Leaf Lane stubbed into that property. They wanted to carry that residential use out and to the east. There'd be no internal connection from residential to commercial, however.
Okay, got it.
Can I just make a comment?
Councilman Ivy?
So again, I want to commend Rusty on her staff report notes. She's always very thorough, and her comments on this are excellent. The Economic Development Director strongly supports the proposed general plan amendment to capture sales tax revenue. This one, as the other one was a challenge, this one's a lot easier for me. I think it makes sense. I think it's part of what we need down there. Capture as much sales tax as we can, given the current build out that's going on there.
Thank you,
Mayor, may
Councilman.
I make a comment?
Councilman Henderson.
I really like this. The only change I would like to see on it is I would like to see 240 West all the way down to Merrill Road be residential, with the commercial starting at the backyard lot line of that residential. It just doesn't make sense to me to. So the subject property here, the east boundary of it is right on 240 West, right where Eldon's doing that. I would like to see those bigger residential lots go all the way down to Merrill Road, and then have the commercial on the west, or on the east end of this subject property start at the backyard line of the lots. Those lots are, 0.6 acre, half acre lots. I'd like to see those lots continue all the way down to Merrill Road.
Councilman, if I could just clarify here that this commercial will be in this Utah shaped square, so this will remain residential here.
Right.
I'll make that note, make sure that was clear there.
So what I'd like to see is, if you take your cursor over to right there, I'd like to see those lots continue all the way down to Merrill Road on 240 West. So, and have the commercial start at the backyard going west. So, to me, it just makes sense to keep that residential all the way down that road.
We don't know necessarily what's going to go into the east yet, right? Greenfield could just end up with a strip of residential houses right there. Is that, I mean, we don't know yet what they want to do on the east, match up with it.
Hasn't been, has that been annexed in yet?
No.
It was part
So
of
when
that.
they come and annex that in, that's gonna annex in with the zoning.
Is that annexed? Or is the one next to it? But yeah, it's unannexed, so there's your annexation. They could ask for different zoning. We may end up with just one strip of single family homes right there, and I just don't know. I mean, we just need to think about if that's what you want to see right there. And then they're gonna have commercial in their backyard, that your homes. So
I mean, I drive on that road every single day, several times a day, because I'm working over in that neighborhood, and.
But I don't think you want those homes facing that street. Like, usually on those main roads, we try not to have them face that street. This is one street down, right? I guess there's some, I'm not saying there's not.
Well, think about this too. So I'm not opposed to, if you wanted to do that and put that in your motion. This is for devil's advocate, right? Right now, if you did neighborhood commercial, you put 2 outlets out on Merrill Road, but you could put a 3rd outlet over on 240, ingress and egress, to where you're not trying to fight traffic on a main street, because at some point that'll probably end up, I could end up being a light or something.
So I'm not for this project because I don't think it's the right spot for this commercial. But if you're gonna put commercial, you should go all the way to 240 because of those reasons and that. So I get what you're saying, but on Merrill, which is gonna be a busy road, I'm concerned you're gonna limit this commercial if you're gonna do it all the way. But I personally don't like it here. I think the reason why I don't is because I fought so hard about the Paseo in St. George and went and met with them, and that's why I'm against it, is I don't think it's appropriate right here. Because we fought so hard I did at least, fought for our residents to not have the Paseo, but we couldn't do anything about it. So now I feel like I'd be not sticking to my guns on, we shouldn't do it to our own residents now, but that's my opinion.
now, did you fight against Paseo, or did you fight against the road alignment on Paseo? Because I don't remember that we tried not to get.
The original Paseo was swapped the other way along 3000 East. Then they swapped it to go along Merrill Road and put it right up against our single-family residents. So now I'm sitting here going, it's okay for me to do, that's why I'm against it.
You know what, you already know what I'm gonna say. I mean, it feels a little bit like, it feels a little bit like shooting ourselves in the foot just because we didn't want it in St. George. But now that we have it, don't we want to take advantage of the sales tax opportunity that's there? I mean, now we're.
I understand what you're saying, and so this is me, right? No one else has to agree with me. I think it's hypocritical of me to sit here and fight for the residents and sit and go against St. George about this, and then me come in my own council chambers and approve it. Me. I'm the only one that sat in that room that day and fought that. So that's just me, right? If you guys think it's better for the community and tax revenue, that's great. We don't even have residents here complaining about it, right? So maybe they don't care. I'm just telling you my way I feel about it.
My only comment, and I'm not disagreeing with you, feel how you want to feel, but we didn't win, and so now we have commercials. Don't we want to make the best out of it that we can, rather than, I understand where you're coming from.
I think that's, Jeremy, I think that's kind of where I'm at too. I guess what I'm concerned about, where that green field there, I think it's still in the county, to the east of the subject property. It makes a good point that if that were to become commercial, which I've already stated my opinion about that many times on commercial in the city. I think it's important to have a good look at all those. It may be problematic to have just a strip of houses there unless we think that zoning there is not going to be residential, or that it would not be commercial, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my main issue with it is if we were to go all the way down with those half-acre lots down to Merrill on 240, it would, to me, it would soften the transition between the commercial and the residential. I mean, you got houses that are $2-3 million houses, and then all of a sudden, you got commercial right there on the same street. So to me, just having driven up and down that street, and I understand the traffic flows, the egress and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like Councilman Coates does in a way, and that's why I kind of feel like, that would soften the transition between that residential neighborhood and the commercial. So that would feel better.
I know it came off a second ago, but none of those 240, right?
They do. There's a couple right there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying we try not to on those, but there's a whole set of houses. That whole, I would say, a whole block.
Hollow there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see them. These are all facing 240, but everything else is not. These aren't, the east side are not, the west side are. Yeah, yeah, the whole west side is facing 240.
Okay.
But typically, we try not to face houses to main roads like this. But the way these laid out, it worked out better that way, and so it happens, but.
I know the one thing that'll keep our residents happy is not raising their taxes. The way we do that is sales tax, so my position.
Eldon, click the layer that just shows you the general planning there. When the Adams family, who owned those unannexed lands, worked with the city to connect Merrill Road on that new route, they did, as part of their negotiation, ask that they be designated as neighborhood commercial at that intersection, which you see there. You see that red square there. And so part of what the planning department is, I believe, is trying to do is they're looking at the commercial that's come to the west on the St. George pieces of the LDS Church properties, and then also part of what the Adams have asked along Merrill Road, and just trying to plan in a way that tries to acknowledge those realities. And so there is a piece there nearby to the east that is already general planned for commercial.
Thank you. Rusty, this seems to be like in your wheelhouse. Would you make a comment? And then certainly we'll give the applicant and the applicant's representative an opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. So this is one area where, as Washington City is seeking to increase our potential for commercial development, we did speak with the applicant. We understand that there is housing to the south. This is something that they're looking at because of the commercial to the west. And they do have to get a general plan change first. We've encouraged them, staff has encouraged them to look at PUD commercial zoning so that you can come back. They'll come back to council and you can ensure that it's tastefully done. They've also had a lot of interest from retailers that are looking at this area in general. And so that's kind of what precipitated it as these retailers are looking in the area in general, and they're really finding this area good for commercial. So I think staff may also recommend when the properties are annexed in to the east, that there may be some commercial along the frontage because of the Merrill Road is a major road. And we already have the commercial on the St. George side. This is a way for Washington City to capture some of the sales tax revenue that comes there.
Thank you, Rusty. Further questions for staff? If not, I'll invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward. And if you'll just state your name for the third time there.
Bob Hermanson. Appreciate your time tonight. So all of the comments are great, and they all are warranted. The comment about fronting on 240, my comment on that would be it would create a situation where you would have very large half-acre lots butting up against Merrill, and that on a side yard, essentially. It seems a little bit odd just because it's such a harsh.
What is Merrill, a minor collector?
I can't remember the size. I don't know if it's a
major.
I think it's a 90, is that right? Yeah, I think it's a 90.
Minor arterial?
Yeah. So, so that's one comment, and 100% in some rough sketches that we had, we were accessing on the 240 through the commercial to Councilman Billiston's comment. So that is definitely an access point, and then having 2 to 3 access points running to the north directly into Merrill. The other reason that we have that snippet of residential down there on the bottom is that we do have a road stub to us. And so essentially all that it is as simple as it continues directly into a small knuckle and turns to the right and exits with lots wrapping around the outside of it. There's 5 lots there that are anywhere from 0.35 acres to 0.44-ish acres. They're very nice sized lots. They're similar to the ones that are to the south.
Maybe help me understand this a little better. So on the part that you're leaving medium density or low density, you're gonna have a road wrap around there. Will it have half-acre lots on both sides of that road, or will that road butt right up to the commercial?
No, sir, there's just not enough space. So it comes in here, it goes to a knuckle. It just basically, the south right-of-way line is essentially this side. That road runs right there, and there's lots. They run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these lots are generally about 0.35 acres. And then this lot, we actually, in this discussion from Planning Commission, in those comments, there were some comments about wanting to extend it all the way up there. These lots here on the corner are all already over 0.45 acres, 0.4 acres. But even looking at that, we went back and just trying to be good neighbors. There was a comment with some direct side angles through Pine Valley, is that they thought that it would be better if we expanded those lots a little bit. So we went back and actually added 30 feet to the back of those lots to just give that a little bit more buffer right where the detention pond is there. We also actually increased that, while we got looking at it, the line that runs north and south there, east and west, and bumped it another 10 feet as well. So we increased it on top of that. So they're all, they're not half-acre lots, but they're very close. There's just 5 of them.
Okay, that makes a little more sense to me.
You know, we just didn't want that road through residential to continue directly into the commercial. That was just a no-go. We didn't want to do that. We want them accessing off of Merrill, and then one access off of 240.
Okay.
You know, and so that was our intent, and it was completely, basically, if you will, bleed off from, Paseos as it's getting ramped up and its success, other tenants wanting more space. And so that's where originally we had looked at this with 4 different options for residential. And then with Paseos being ahead, and then all of a sudden that started coming in, and there's just a lot. There's a lot of availability. And so the intent is to match intensity on the west side of the project. That's also why we're happy to submit the PDC plan, is that, to show you, is that basically we'd have higher intensity uses on the west side of the project, and as we work our way to the east, the intent is to have a more professional office space, so more blends more into that residential.
Okay,
And so,
that makes sense.
yeah, so we were feeling the same way, but trying to accommodate it with the intersection and the access. That's why we were more than happy to bring the PDC in and show it to you, yeah, in those uses.
Okay, thank you.
How soon do you anticipate bringing, assuming this is approved tonight, how soon you anticipate bringing that back?
I'm sure it's going to be pretty quick. We have a couple of different options, but really we needed to get this done so we can have real conversations with everybody, because it was kind of a no-go.
Yeah.
But it's active, and so I don't think it'll take long. It was pretty active.
Okay. Further questions for the applicant's representative? Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Council, further, this is your opportunity now to discuss this further and/or make a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance for general plan amendment G-25-05 from low density LD to neighborhood commercial NCOM located at 400 West Merrill Road.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Ivey. I have a second by Councilman Belliston. We'll go roll call, beginning with, I believe we're on Councilmember Coates.
Nay.
Henderson. Aye. Belliston.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
That is approved 3-1. Make us proud down there, Bob. You always do. Bob, I'm sure you want to get home to your family. If I take more than about if we take more than about 7 to 10 minutes, bounce. But if not, could you hang around just for a little bit longer? Sure. Thank you. Let's go on to item 8D. This is consideration to approve an ordinance for general plan amendment G-25-06, adding the water use and preservation element. The applicant is Washington City, and our very own Community Development Director, Eldon Gibb, will present on our behalf.
I'm on a timeline, 7 to 8 minutes. This will be quick here.
I got to get to report from officers.
This comes from State Bill 110. We're required to add a water use and preservation element to the general plan. We've worked through that. And as we did that, I recognize that we've adopted the Joint Agency Regional Water Conservation Plan. We have a very proactive, updated landscaping and water conservation ordinance that we're abiding by, implementing. And one example is advanced metering infrastructure throughout the city. So we're very up to date on the things that we're doing, proactive. This is divided up into 6 sections, and I'm happy to discuss anything that you'd like to discuss.
Any questions? Any discussion? Otherwise, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the general plan amendment G-25-06 for adding the water use and preservation element.
I have a motion by Councilman Coates.
Second.
Second by Councilman Belliston. We'll go roll call, begin with Councilmember Henderson.
Aye.
Belliston.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
Coates. That is approved unanimously, 4-0. Next section of the agenda, resolution. There are 2 items. Item 9A, consideration to approve a resolution for an equipment lease with Zions Bank Corp. For the purchase of golf carts. Appropriately, City Manager Jeremy Redd will present on the golf item.
Try to do this in less than 30 minutes. It's a golf item, so it takes a lot of consideration.
Let me do it.
Time for us to lease new golf carts. Previously, we had leased them directly from a different company that's now that is no longer in business. So we're going to lease them directly from Intermountain Golf Carts, but you do it through Zions Bank. They need a resolution from the council. We'll use the pricing that's from the state contract. We went out, Zions Bank had the best lease price, 4.4% rate, and at the end of the lease, Intermountain Golf Carts buys back the carts at the balloon payment of $95,000. So pretty straightforward what we've done in the past. But
So are we replacing all the carts, or is it just a portion? All the carts?
they're on a lease that's now, we're done with the lease. So those go back, they get bought back by the previous company, and we'll buy all new golf carts. Happens every 5 years or so.
When's the rollout?
They'll order them right away. We hope to have them in a month, have new golf carts.
Does the lease make, I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Does the lease make money for us?
No,
It's a break-even kind of thing?
it's just a way of spreading out that cost over 5 years so that we're not paying $500,000 today, and then 5 years from now, we have another
And then
$500,000 bill.
Paying on the value of considering pulling out the residual when we give them back, if there is any.
Well, we're guaranteed a $95,000 buyback at the end.
Okay.
From Intermountain Golf Cart. And so we end up paying $400,000 instead of $500,000, and it works out really well. Lets us budget it across the life of the golf carts too, which is nice.
Further discussion, questions on this item? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Coates. Resolution, sorry, guys. We'll begin with Councilmember Belliston, Henderson, Coates.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
That's approved unanimously 4-0. Item 9B, consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding between Washington City and the City of St. George. City Attorney Thad Sigmiller will present. Council members Ivy and Coates are on deck as they were part of this conversation. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a written document that has kind of got a long history, but I'll keep it brief. St. George City earlier this year proposed an amendment to their annexation policy plan. You'll all remember you've had some discussion and consult on that. It had changed some things that caught Washington City's attention. Washington City did file a formal objection to that. Also earlier this year, Washington City initiated an annexation petition for certain lands. And so this MOU is intended to document the agreement that was reached as the mayors and certain council members of both cities came together to discuss it. The general, and it's a pretty short document, but we don't need to read it all. Generally, what it does is it indicates that in exchange for Washington City agreeing not to protest an annexation from the area of annexation that St. George City calls Area D, that in exchange, St. George City would agree to remove annexation Area F from their policy plan. Now, if you read real closely and compared the maps, you would see that part of part of Washington City's current annexation action, of which St. George did not object, includes lands within Area D. And so we've had discussions with their attorney's office, and St. George knows that they did not object to that. They know that the intent of this agreement is not to guarantee them the BLM lands within Area D, and that they have not objected, and Washington City is, in essence, is able to continue forward with our annexation on where it sits. What questions might you have for me?
Nope, Thad, you caught it. I saw that the annexation, Area D, the north half was current annexation that's not quite done, but in the process. I just will want to make a condition that St. George didn't want to update their map if we make a motion on this, that a condition that St. George acknowledges that they didn't want to update the map for our MOU because it didn't affect them, right? And that.
I'm not following you, sorry.
I just want to make sure they're clear that we're annexing this in, but when I read this, it doesn't, I understand what you said, but when I read it originally, I was like, hey, that's wrong because they're saying we won't object to it, but I don't want them to come back and say, well, you agreed to this, but then you went and annexed in a bunch of property.
So our annexation and their time frame to object expired before this was written, will have all expired before this is signed. And so as a matter of law, I'm comfortable that it's clear that our annexation is prior in time and in right to this one. And so for me, I'm looking at the language in that's why I'm confused. Looks like my packet's only showing the resolution. Anyway, I was looking at the language, there it is. In paragraph number, it's Roman numeral 3, expansion Area D. The second sentence of that section, the cities agree that Washington will not protest this area annexing into St. George, and in exchange, St. George agrees to withdraw expansion area from its annexation policy. And then the very last paragraph before the general section, the cities understand and agree that the property owner will request annexation of expansion area D into St. George, and that the property owner will request annexation of expansion area F into Washington at the same time. So that's, I think, the understanding you're referencing.
That's what I'm concerned about, is it says we won't object to it, but then we're going and annexing it in. That's what got me my concern.
Yeah, and so we discussed that through, and we are in first place on that already by nature of the date and time in which we filed our annexation, their decision not to object to it. And so nothing in here says Washington City cannot annex any of Area D. What it says is we agree not to protest if they annex the lands.
Okay. But what happened to the other areas that was in their original paperwork, A, B, and C?
Those have remained as published. The meeting didn't discuss those. There hasn't been any agreement as to what those will or won't be.
So those stay in the annexation?
So they're in both our annexation plan, right? So whoever
Essentially,
decides to do it at that time, no?
if St. George, and I understand from my meetings with them that once both city councils have reviewed it, their city council's reviewing this MOU this week also. They intend to go ahead and adopt it and essentially knowingly create a situation where they overlap, and both cities in theory can then decide if and when they choose to annex. And so part of what we've been doing is choosing to annex early and often on that section that had some importance to Washington City.
I actually thought it was a really good exercise in the relationship we have with our friends and neighbors there on such a long shared border. We really appreciated the staff working together, the counterpart mayor and council. It was a good, respectful meeting on both sides, and this is good work. I think I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I feel like it reflects the meeting that I attended, and I do agree that the map probably doesn't reflect the meeting's understanding, but it does reflect St. George City's annexation policy plan amendment that they published. So it's the same map that they had already published.
Okay.
And so the issue here is, can a property owner that wasn't the property owner that we were discussing about allow something to be annexed into Washington City? And the answer to that is that property owner's already consented in the proper time to object to Washington City's annexation. No neighboring cities objected. And so we're essentially down the road past the opportunity to protest that happening as it's coming.
So Thad, is there anything on the horizon that we need to be considering? I know that you've talked about it, but just to be in very clear terms, is there anything else that we need to be aware of? Or is there a boundary on the east or the west that we need to be proactive on, or you feel like we're in a good position?
Well, you're informed of all the areas that are not finalized for either city. On the north, I believe the Washington Parkway and whether that project gets approved and funded will create kind of a rush on the north side, depending on where it ends up going. On the east side, it's fairly well designated with the exception of the Hughes property that Washington City's got a firm position, is in St. George City's annexation plan. That could change based on politics or other things. This appears to button up the rest, but we haven't had a lot of correspondence with our neighbor to the east, and we don't anticipate there's adversity there, but I guess in theory that could occur someday.
Does the city of St. George have utilities to the Hughes property?
No, that's part of the issue. It appears to be more economical to have it be served by Washington City Utilities.
Okay. Thank you, Thad.
Yep.
Council, back to you for further discussion and or a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the memorandum of understanding between Washington City and St. George City on the annexations.
For the motion by Councilman Coates, is there a second? Second by Councilman Belliston. Roll call, begin with Councilmember Henderson. Aye. Coates.
Aye.
Ivy. Henderson, Belliston. Approved unanimously, 4-0. We will move on to report of officers from assigned committees. Normally, I start with you, Councilman Belliston. However, we're going to start with a little video, and then I'm going to ask Bob, who's gracious enough to stay around just to give us a little bit of an update there. Eldon, do you have that video? We got it queued up. Maybe we do. No audio. So actually, I'll just talk a little bit while we're seeing these. This is lot 101 and 102. It was my privilege this afternoon in my office to sign the plat. And Bob will pick that up from Bonnie in the planning office in the morning. And he'll take that over and get it recorded. These are, Bob will tell us for sure, I believe 150,000 square foot, 175,000 square foot. Justin Harriman just emailed me today. They're 100% leased. And Bob's going to give us a little more update on it. But, you know, I remember 4 years ago, almost this exact time, in fact, it was Veterans Day, when they were wanting, the group approached me about annexing this property into St. George. And I know Councilman Bellison had some, you know, laid some groundwork down there when he was on the council prior. But what I really like, what I like about this is, and this is kind of the lesson that really occurs to me that we're seeing come to full fruition here, is as an elected body with the full support of our staff, we had the courage and the foresight to extend Washington Field Road south with those utilities. We took the initiative to go out and get the public improvement district with the TIF entirely set. We did some work. We didn't have a lot that we could offer, but we offered what we could. We partnered with the right group. And now, just 4 short years later, we have 2 massive buildings that are just a complete game changer in the county on what high-end industrial distribution space looks like. And then I did have the chance, if you'll come on up, Bob, I spoke to Bob about what we can expect in terms of building and access, and if you'll just tell the rest of the story, and then I'll put a bow on it.
Yeah, sounds great. And shout out to the staff. Honestly, it's been fantastic. You guys have just honestly just killed it.
Play it again, Eldon, while he's talking.
Yeah, everybody just did it. Yeah, it's awesome. So we have these 2 buildings that are fully leased up. We have another building that's just down to the street to the west, we call the RU building, which also has a full lease as well. It's 300,000 square feet. It's under full.
And these are?
So the south building is slightly smaller. It's about 165. That one to the north is slightly larger, and it's just short of 200. So these are not small. The next one that's under full construction is 300K. It is leased and has a tenant right now. We have 3 more sets of plans that we will be submitting back to back to back in the next 3 weeks, and 3 sets of plans. We have another 300K building that there's some very serious activity on, so we're going to charge forward on that building as well. That's just to the right of the one on the screen there, just next one to the north. It's identical to the RU building. And then we're also going to submit at the intersection of Washington Fields Road and our Parkway. There's a 150,000 square foot building right there. There's some other activity for a building that size. We're going to submit that one.
So if you're doing the math, that's 950,000 additional square feet.
Yeah, and then the one just across the street from this one is the 500K one. We'll submit, that'll be the last one we submit, and there's been activity on that. So we're internally at like 90% plans on all 3, and the architect is just right behind us. And so those are coming as quickly as we can get them in.
So it looks like from this, you're grading that road and access to the interchange right now?
So
overpass?
Just where we were adjacent, just improving what we needed to, just because we were adjacent to it. So the item on there is that we hope by the end of next week, we'll have right-of-way documents approved by UDOT. And then the intent is that we need to get buy-off from all of the stakeholders, which there's only 3. There is one that's somewhat challenging sometimes. We're hoping that individual signs, and if they do, we may be starting the interchange next year. That's our goal. And then yeah, I mean, there's a ton of activity out there, but couldn't be any happier working with Washington City. You guys have been great, and yeah, it's moving really quickly. Like I've never seen a project, especially of this magnitude, have this much activity. It's kind of unbelievable. Yeah.
It's been a great project. I know that Justin and you feel, I know a date hasn't been set for ribbon cutting, but please keep us in the loop. And Justin's also offered to give us a tour of the building. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, we were up north at their West Valley facility and in our yellow vests and hard hats, you know, looking at their post and some of their other facilities up there. But again, I think when you have the right partner and the right trust, sometimes in order to make these things happen that are really a benefit to the community in terms of jobs and revenue to the city, sometimes you got to take just a little bit of initiative and just put a little bit of skin in the game in order to prime the pump and get it going. And I just thought this is a great example of a public-private partnership and us working together in partnership.
And in all honesty, from my point of view, being a third party, is my understanding is that that's the reason that they came to Washington City, to be really clear. Yeah, and so, good job. It was good.
You've earned your money tonight. Have a good evening. Don't stay any longer. That's all I have, council, and then we'll go down to you, Councilman Belliston.
Really, the only report I've got from assigned committees is, and this is, you know, for Councilman Coates as well, flood control has adopted their 2026 budget. Sent out that, what the ACE crews, you guys all got to see that. It's, I mean, those guys do a lot of, every year they're doing a couple
Getting
of
out the
projects in the spring
chainsaws.
and fall and clearing different areas of the community, and so, and they've been a valuable asset. I think
Totally agree. I think Rick Rosenberg does great with those guys and keeps them. Appreciate all they do because it's critical to our water corridors to make sure they're cleaned up, get all those tamarisk and all that fun stuff out of there. So,
I think on flood control, Mayor Rosenberg was saying that we're about a 10-to-1 on the money put in versus the money we received back in grants and money from the feds for taking care of, you know, cleanup of, you know, areas that are problem areas, you know, in our drainage. So it's been a good asset to have that as a flood control authority with all the cities involved. And it's Santa Clara, St. George, and Washington really is it, because those are drainage lines that go through multiple cities.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate your work. Councilman Henderson.
They have anything, Mayor? Thank you.
Okay.
I saw your crew out there by Landfill Road at Country Way.
Well, I do have
Hang out there and have lunch because they're always there.
I do have a mosquito meeting tomorrow, and I'm expecting some merch.
Where's Councilman Casperson?
If you guys could start treating me nicely, you may get some merch next time. Yeah.
Councilman Coates.
Yeah, I have a couple items real quick. The first item is just an update that the demo's complete. So with the efforts of the county, the landfill, and I'm gonna even say myself, we saved, the initial bid was $600,000 for the demo and thing, and we got it for $300,000 just for the old Scout House, to demo it and repave the whole area. It's a pretty thick section. It's 6 inches that they do right there with all the heavy trucks. And so, but that first bid, I just knew it was bad. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And then the county actually charged us like $5,000 to demo the site. And then Republic let us dump it for free. So it kind of was a good partnership and made sense. And
I'm taking you next time I negotiate for Christmas trees.
You just say no, Mayor. That's the key. And then I think some of you have seen or not, and Landfill Road is paved and striped, so I appreciate Andy and his crew working, getting that done. So it's a nice, beautiful road out to a nice, beautiful facility. They are landscaping the front of the detention pond around the landfill, nice. So they added a little money there to do that, and then that closes out our CIB funding, which we still have just under $1 million left that we're not going to use. So we can return that and save that, and then it won't cost us as much. But we had our annual, so they make you do annual payments. It's $400,000 a year. We can't pay it early. They only want it once a year. It's not like, you can pay it off early, you just can't. You can't pay
can't
monthly
pay extra.
payments. They're like, we want it once a year, so we have
No.
to save up and pay them their check every year. But it's about, I think it's like $480,000 we have to pay for the next 30 years, but it is 2% interest. And we're probably gonna self-fund the new PCC, which is the Public Convenience Center, the phase 3 of the project. So that's coming up. And then, David, I emailed you something, if you can pull it up. But
Working on it in 2 seconds.
the Republic, so they've had a few fires, and a lot of the problem with fires is batteries. So I'm bringing this to you to let you know, I don't think we can do it, but they want people to purchase these buckets and pay $100 to put their batteries in and then mail it back to them to dispose of property, even like AA and all that. Because most of us just throw away our AA's in the garbage, right? But they say that it's a problem, but I think the real problem is the lithium batteries that are in like the scooters and those things that are causing the fires that we've had. Like they had 2 trucks, not burned down this year, but they had to dump their loads because of lithium batteries this year alone. So it's more of a reminder to our public that you can't throw any battery away. They recommend no batteries. Being realistic, I think we've all done it for years. Like, I don't know, I'm just being realistic. But there is a place that you can go onto Republic's website and you can, it's like a little 5-gallon bucket. They wanted us to have it at our cities, and I'm like, who's gonna maintain it? Who's gonna do it? And it's not more the cost, it's more of, it's gonna cost us more to maintain it than send it. So I don't recommend we go down that road because I think it's just a nightmare, but if someone wants to in the community, they can, and you can go do it. But it's just a little sack that you throw them in and then mail it back. But they do charge you for it, which is, I don't know, I thought it was kind of weird that they charged if they were worried about it that much, but it's kind of.
I wouldn't want them to catch on fire in the post office, though.
Maybe we would.
But I did learn.
That's probably where
I did learn that Lowe's and Home Depot will take them back.
I'm saying,
If you want to go to Lowe's and Home Depot, they take them back. Those type of batteries, so you can take them back. Auto batteries, you should go. And then, of course, there's always the special hazardous waste day that we do twice a year, but it costs us about $150,000. It's like $65,000
on that day.
That day, we do it twice a year, and it costs that. Biggest thing that comes is paint, old paint. So they're looking at some options to potentially have their own kind of bed for paint and save money that way, because it's a
Big
lot.
mural.
Well, I guess you can, so apparently if you lay it out and you let it dry, then you can put it in the landfill. It's just the liquid part you can't put in the landfill. So you have to have a special containment. You can lay it out, let it dry, and then put it in, but you have to be permitted for it. We're looking into it to see what that actually costs, because
And pay
65 to 70,000
30%
for
of your
one day.
loan payment, your debt service.
Sure. But, so we're always trying to save money where we can and keep the cost down, but I think it's running well. So that's my report, and thank you.
Good job. Councilman Ivy.
So yes, I have, with MPO, I'll start off there. We felt very good after our last meeting where the city secured $1.1 million from MPO to widen Merrill Road. It came in as the top priority. And I just want to share my appreciation for Blake and for Public Works. We do a good job representing the city and advocating for everything that's entitled to us, and I appreciate that. And I didn't think of this, but Councilman Coates reminded me, the landfill fire that occurred out there just like a couple weeks ago, had our residents out that live by there in Red Waters up in arms. They were afraid that the other landfill was on fire again, but so today is an important day in the history of that landfill. This is the 30th day for that report that was supposed to be submitted to DEQ. And so I was just wondering, I haven't heard a lot. I know a lot of you, the residents, come in and spoke to us before a public comment period. Jeremy, could we have Chief Evans just give us an update on that or what's going on? I haven't really heard a lot from.
I think the last update I saw is they were waiting for today, which is the 30th day, the 10th of December, and then the DEQ will review their plan. They hope they don't expect that it's a finalized plan. They'll have to go back and forth, but they hope that it's enough that they can get them started on the remediation process. So I haven't heard what they got back today or how it's coming along, but that's the latest update we have.
If is Chief Evans on? Let's see if we've got an update. I haven't heard anything either. I just wondered if they might have reported to him earlier today.
I'm not sure if he's on the line. I didn't have a heads up on that.
No problem. That's okay. I just want you to know the fire, they're still experiencing the same problem out there as they have. It hasn't gotten better. So we need to continue to work to give them all the relief that we can.
So Mayor, can I have one more thing?
Yeah, and then I might add one more to you as
So
well.
I just want to say I went to the fireman Christmas party and I went to the policeman, and it was the cutest thing. And I showed the picture to Jeremy, but there was in Heritage Hall for the fire. Because we have those little windows that have those deep benches, right?
Yeah.
Santa was coming, so all the kids came up and they were just looking out that window because they're like, he's coming. And then the fire department or the truck came up, pulled right up next to it. Those kids freaked out. It was awesome. He ran outside and then Santa got off. It was really cute. So it was like, oh, that place is amazing for that kind of stuff. And it worked out way better than I imagined. And it was just funny, like the little things of little kids sitting in the window. I never would have thought got to me, but it got to me a little bit. So I don't know. So I'm glad we have that place and we're utilizing it. So that's all, Mayor.
So in place of Councilwoman Casperson, I know she does the active transportation. I'm loving those trails. And there's some trails, several sections down. Can you just give us an update on, I saw them south of George Washington Boulevard too, finishing up some split rail fencing there.
I should make Paul finish that.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
I'm
Paul?
more than happy to. But there's 4 segments and they're all paved and done. The last walkthrough was this week for the last segment down by south of George Washington Boulevard. I think the community members are loving it because they're all over those things. So I think they've been a great addition. That it's funny how you wouldn't think a little trail would matter, but man, it really is helping get these kids north and south along that section of road, and it gets them off Washington Field roads and the street. They feel safer on those canal trails. So I think it's awesome that it got done. So I appreciate the staff working on it. I've been amazed at how popular they are, and there's some pretty trails that in some areas you wouldn't have known. So I would recommend you go walk them or run them and check them out. And then we do have lots of kids that think that it's a racetrack though too. So Paul and police need to work on that. They get on those motorcycles and think it's a new highway for them.
Spike strips, no, I'm teasing. No, don't do that.
But Paul and his team they got some signs up that says no e-bikes, no e-motorcycles.
Yeah, I saw those.
I think those are helpful to help kind of inform what's allowed and what's not allowed on our trail system. But yeah, I'm super excited about those.
And then I think as you kind of go from Lost Ridge and Merrill south, that subdivision seems to be building out. And I think we have another section along Washington Fields Road of trail that will parallel Washington Fields Road.
Yeah, so what we have is, so the 4 segments we did was north by Indian Knolls, which is where the future, hopefully, trailhead will be there. It kind of is the end of the line for the canal there on that north side. Well, not going north-south, end of the line. But that connect all the way down to, I can't remember that road name, Red Sands or something like that. And then we start over again on Washington Dam Road, because we have a gap that we can't get right now, because when it gets developed, we'll get it. And then it runs from Washington Dam Road all the way to Lost Ridge, and then
Lost
from
Ridge
Lost
down
Ridge
to
goes down to
Majestic.
the elementary.
Yeah.
And then from there, it goes down to Washington Fields Road.
And that's that privately built section that looks like it's coming right away.
And that group's coming right now. And then we have the commercial piece, which.
That could get us all the way down to George Washington, then across the other side down.
And then it goes down from George Washington all the way down to our city limit. So we have, there's only a couple little segments left. Which part? No, it's not. It's private property. It's blocked off. So there's a sidewalk.
Sidewalk, not very far even, really. You just parallel it.
It's just east of, in the Indian Knoll. Is it Indian Knoll subdivision?
Indian.
Yeah, Seminole Way.
So your old neighborhood, Councilman Bellison, Indian Knolls? Indian Knolls, is that what it is, your old neighborhood?
So right there, just behind there, and we weren't able to acquire those easements right now because they're not ready and it's not developed yet. But when it gets developed, then that's when it'll go in. But I think it was very successful. I know I've been working on it for 6 years, and so I'm ecstatic that it finally got
But
done.
it seems a little bit like it mimics ARA, that we just all of a sudden came really quick after a lot of years of work.
Yeah,
And
I
the
agree.
real value to the community, because it connects those neighborhoods, connects those regional parks down to where there's the Wills Park and Sullivan and things. So anyway, I'm really excited about that.
You know, Stonehenge is really excited too with the trail that's gone through there because it cleaned up that area.
Yes.
Just naturally cleaned it up, and remember, we'd worked for a long time to get that taken care of, and it looks really nice. People are really excited, and they're using it already, so that's good work, good effort. Good to see families out using it and enjoying it.
Thanks, council. Next item, city manager report.
I don't have anything else to add, Mayor. I think that we had great, the entire month of November, December, some really great events. We've talked about those a few times, but really appreciate all the hard work. Lots of elected official and staff time and community time that went into those, but fantastic events. And just echo what Councilman Ivy said, we're on top of the DEQ and the landfill, and we'll keep right on that. I'll keep updating you, and we can keep updating the residents, but nobody's forgotten
Well,
about that. So
and what I like about that, and I love that we've heard and we hear the residents, but I think it's appropriate that we continue to direct them to the state agency that has the oversight. And that's really where we need to keep doing that, because that's their responsibility, and we'll do our part in where we can, but they have that primary duty, and we'll keep directing them there.
Absolutely, and then just recognizing that, we'll continue to follow up. We're not also letting that just be on them. We'll continue to follow up. We'll make sure that they're on top of it as well.
So Jeremy, would you be the point of contact for DEQ, or would it be Chief Evans? I'm not sure.
Chief Evans has been.
Evans would be, okay. Thank you.
We do need to go to closed session for items 12A and 12C. I'll call for a motion to move to closed session.
So made.
Motion by Councilman Ivy.
Second.
Second by Councilman Henderson. We got to go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Ivy, Belliston, Henderson, Coates. We are approved 4-0, unanimous. We'll move into closed session. Let's take about a 5-minute or so break, and then we'll meet in the boardroom.